Boom.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Squandered Resources. This episode 4. My name is Joe Cherries, and I'm one of your Squandered Resources. And joining me on the line, as always, all the way from Buffalo, New York, Beezy.
Hello.
Oh, I heard that you've been having a good weekend. How's your weekend been?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, well, today we're doing Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate limited set review. This time, the Mythics and the Rares. So, we already did the commons and the uncommons, so now we're going to go over the Mythics and the Rares and tell you how good we think they are so you can improve your limited game play. Since you might primarily be a commander player or you might primarily be a drafter trying something different, we got to tell you all the rules and all of that stuff. Before we get into all of the good stuff that we got for this video, we have to shout out the sponsor of this channel, Moxfield.com. They are a deck building website where you can go to, build all of your decks, keep them in folders, organize them, even has a gameplay function where you can play test your deck on the website, and if you use that with other third-party things, you can even use it to stream and play on other people's streams. It's a really cool feature that a lot of people use just to play online. Super awesome. But the best way to support us would be directly. And to do that, you can head over to our Patreon, the Squandered Resources Patreon, better known as the Nitpicking Nerds Patreon. And you can support us directly with, well, you know, money, which we would very much appreciate so we can keep this awesome podcast that is all the way on episode 4 going for everyone who is watching in the audience. So let's go over the differences now between a regular draft and Commander Legends. So with normal draft, you get 3 packs. They're 15 cards. You pick a card, you pass it to the left. You pick a card, you pass it to the left, and you do that for the whole pack. Then you do right. Then you do left again, and you eventually have picked 45 cards. You have a whole, and you build a deck out of it. 40 cards. You put about 17 lands in it. A little different for Commander Legends. So there's starters, 20 cards in a pack. It's 2 picks per pack, meaning that when you open a pack, you don't just take 1 card and pass it. You take 2 cards, then you pass it. 60 card deck. So we're going to need to make slightly bigger decks. For us, if 17 lands is the go-to for a average, limited deck, I'd say 23 is the average you want to aim for here. And depending on your ramp, you might be able to go a little lower. Without ramp, you might want to go a little bit higher. You choose your commander as you draft, but if you don't get any commanders, you can always use the Faceless one as both a commander and as a background, which we're going to get into more of like commanders and backgrounds as we get into this video. 4-player game, no sideboarding. This is one single game. You're going to draft. You're going to play against the players in a little like zigzag shape, and then you're just going to play one single game. So you're not going to be sideboarding. If you need to kill those artifacts and enchantments, make sure it's in your main board. Color identity applies to this, meaning if you have a blue and a red deck, you cannot play something like a Moss Diamond, which has green color identity, even though it would normally just be able to slot into your deck because it can be cast for colorless. It won't work. This has commander rules to it. There is no singleton rule, though, like in regular commander, meaning if you draft 7 of the exact same cards, you get to play 7 of the exact same cards. All right, so we're going to tell you how good all the rares and all the mythic rares are from the set for the limited environment. But in order to do that, we need some sort of grading system, and we're going to use an A through F system. Beezy, I know you've been dying to get some words in here, so why don't you tell us all about this grading system?
Oh, yeah. Dying to get some words in. We're going to be using A through F grades, as Cherry's mentioned. A's are going to be bombs. They're good when you're ahead. They're good when you're behind. They're good when you're at parity. Think Rakshasa Debaser, Apex Devastator. They can end the game by themselves. They can be a gigantic threat. They're going to take over. B's are cards that are going to actively pull you into the colors as you're drafting. If you see them, you might think, oh, this color is open because this is a very good magic card. Volcanic Torrent, Azure Fleet Admiral. Some examples from Commander Legends number 1. C's are the Pawns Unlimited. You're going to play a bunch of them in your deck no matter what, and they're basically interchangeable. They're all just good. They're not great. They're not terrible. Exquisite Huntmaster, Ivy Lane Denizen, those types of things. D's, sometimes playable. You're kind of unhappy if you have to run a bunch of them because they are of lower quality. Sanitarium Skeleton was one. Elvish Visionary, unless you were in the Elves deck, another one. And then F's, basically unplayable. We're going to say just never to play them. It'll probably make your win percentage go up. They're terrible. Like Portent of Betrayal and Daring Saboteur. And there's also a Subcategory, Build-Arounds, a card that requires work to be done. You have to draft your entire deck with that card in mind, but if you do, it's going to be a much higher grade than if you just put it in your deck because it'll probably suck.
All right, so let's get into this. We're going to go in Wooborg order as we always do here on Squandered Resources. So get ready. We're going to start with the very first card, and it is a good one. It is Ancient Gold Dragon. 5 white for a Elder Dragon. This is the first Elder that is not a legend this cycle of dragons. It's a 7/10 flyer. That's huge. And whenever Ancient Gold Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20 and create that many 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the result. This card is an A+. It is absolutely incredible. It comes down, and if you're scared that you're going to get attacked on board, it's huge. It blocks super, super well. And if you connect at any point with this, the average roll is 10 or 9. Okay, or 10 or 11. It's 10 or 11. Yeah, that's the average roll. We're getting 10 on average. That is actually just a ludicrous number of dragons to get. I don't know how you lose when you start hitting with this.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't give it an A+. This feels more like an A- to me, or just a regular A. This is like, you have to connect with it. If you don't connect with it, it's a big creature that's like pretty good. Everything's predicated on whether or not this hits. If it hits, you're dominating the board and they're going to have to board wipe or basically lose to you. But if you're not hitting or this is stuck in your hand, it's kind of just chilling and it's bad.
This thing has
There's
flying.
plenty of board states where this could be bad, though.
See,
this does not scream A+ to me at all.
This screams A+ to me so easily. This card is incredible.
It's good. It's a great card. I would probably just give it an A-.
It's the second you connect with it, it's almost game over. You're going to be in such a dominating position from that point. You can just use the skies aren't going to be. There are going to be other flyers. There are going to be, and this will not always be able to get through. But most of the time, at least one player, does not have flying defenses. We know this is true. So this just has to come down. We know you're getting the turn 7. We know you're getting the 7 mana in this format.
You're gonna get there. It is a lot of mana, and it's not like it's gonna. It can. If you're behind, I don't know how much it's catching you up. Where if you're behind, they probably have blockers, and it does this thing does not really offer you anything right away, or even the turn after until you hit. So there's potential for mana blowouts. I would just give it an A-. I think it's great if you can get lucky and smack in with it.
I just don't think you have to get lucky. I think that's where we're differing. I don't think you have to get lucky.
I think if this is an A+, you're going to be giving out a lot of A+.
I think this is definitely an A+.
I think this is definitely not an A+. And we'll have our first disagreement.
This card is incredible.
A-.
It's an A+. This card is incredible.
All right. Archivist of Ogma. 1 and a white for a 2/2 flash. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain 1 life and draw a card. If this was regular Commander, this card would probably be like an A. But this is limited where there is so much less searching. The only searching you're ever going to see is somebody searching with Evolving Wilds or Nature's Lore. And there's a couple other commons, but otherwise this is basically a 2/2 flash that can respond to one of those and maybe replace itself. But this just seems like a C.
No, this is an F. I think that there are so few cards that actually search libraries that you do not want to be playing this. This is a 2/2 for 2 most of the time. And then in this rare, super small percentage of the time it draws you a card, I'm not interested in playing that game. I would just leave this out of my deck every single time. I'll draft it, I'll take the value, and then I'm never going to play it.
I'll revise that to a D-, where you just don't want to play this card.
Yeah.
Why wait for your opponent to do something that they're probably going to do? Maybe at some point. Can you control when they do it though? Not really.
We do slightly disagree, guys. I am on F. Well, it looks like we're never.
I just think this is a bad card, not stone unplayable. It's just probably not going to do what it looks like.
I think it is. I think it's going to draw a card almost never, and I think that makes it stone unplayable. Next, we have Ascend from Avernus. X, white, sorcery. Return all creatures and planeswalker cards with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile Ascend from Avernus. I think this is a very good Magic card that scales super strongly into the late game. It's also a really nice master animation spell. I feel like there isn't that many, actually. It feels like there's a lot in Commander.
There's really not.
There's not. There's a few really good ones, and then we're kind of missing them. This card's very good, and I think that this is a solid B+, where it's very good, but it's not great early game, and you have to get into the late game where this card is now an absolute, amazing card.
Okay, but to me, this card seems way better than the dragon. If I'm getting 4 creatures back, Guaranteed 4-for-1. I don't have to jump through any hoops other than play the game up to a certain point. It brings me back from a board wipe, even if I'm the one board wiping. This to me seems also like an A-, where it's like, if I'm not ahead, my creatures are dead, and I will go ahead and get them back.
Yeah, so I can see this being an A-.
Like, the dragon also requires you to be in the late game and have a lot of setup, which is what you said about this card.
The dragon just requires you to have, like, your graveyard has to be filled with this card. So maybe you're right. I think this is probably an A-. I will move this up. You don't need any setup for the dragon. The dragon just says, it doesn't matter if you've played and the things that go into your graveyard. Nothing matters that's happened in the game. It's always, when you drop it, it's always incredible, unless everyone has the skies locked up, which is going to be incredibly rare. This thing, yeah, I think it's worse than the dragon. It is very good. Yeah, you're right. All you have to do is play the game. Your graveyard will fill as the game goes on, but it isn't that great early. So yeah, A- because it's not. It will have those times where it kind of rots in your hand. It's going to be in your opener, and you're going to be like, well, this is just a mulligan for a while. And
much like a 7-mana dragon would be.
Well, the 7-mana dragon, again, you don't have to wait for anything to happen. You have to wait for something to happen. If you play the game and nothing ends up in your graveyard, like sometimes you progress the game in like 7 and 8, the board just gets kind of stalled and nothing's running into each other and nothing's dying. So that can happen and make this card dead longer. The dragon will always come out as soon as you hit 7 mana.
We will definitely stop talking about the dragon very shortly, but I will say this card does not die to removal.
It doesn't.
A lot of, like, when I think of bombs, sometimes I think they're a little stickier and harder to answer, and this one is just like, there's no answer for this. There's no graveyard hate.
I mean, I think dies to removal is...
No, I'm saying this is better against removal.
It is better against removal, but it requires a lot more setup for it to happen.
I think so. Battle Agents of Tyr. I don't think this is going to be much of a debate here. 2 white for a 4/4 flying with Myriad. So just a quick recap. We're not going to recap all the mechanics. We just went over them in commons, uncommons. But when it attacks, you get 2 copies, 1 for each other player, and then all 3 are attacking. So whenever this thing deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if that player has more cards in hand than each other player. Then you create a treasure token if that player controls more lands than each other player. Then you gain 3 life if that player has more life than each other player. So you're really not going to hit, well, you cannot hit this every time. You're going to hit probably 2 or 3 of them. You're not going to get like double gain 3 life because you can't. And they have to have the most of something. But you're going to get at least 1, probably 2 of these things. It's also 3 4/4 flyers every turn attacking from turn 5 onward. This to me is like an A or an A+, where it's like every single point in the game, this is a massive threat. It comes down early. It can swing in and basically push through damage, draw you cards, just takes over the game by itself. This seems like an A+.
I agree. This is also an A+. This card is very, very good. I mean, like you said, this is pushing this for 12 damage every single swing, and every hit on players is going to be getting you something. This is a 4/4 flyer for 4. Its body is really, really strong, and it's not going to get eaten up in the air, especially not fast and especially not early. We saw in the commons and uncommon slot, we're going to get 4/4 flyers around turn 6, around turn 7. That's when we're going to start seeing 4/4 flyers in the air that can actually block this thing. And then when that actually starts happening, you're just going to start sending it somewhere else, and the 4/4s are now tokens that nobody wants to trade off with. So they need to have a 5/5 now to eat the token and just feel good about that. This card is absolutely incredible at every single point in the game, like you said.
Yeah, for the thing that really pushes it over the top for me is that when they remove this, if they do, you're basically not even on mana. You don't even lose tempo. You just played a card and it died. Like, this just does everything.
Yeah, this card is very good. So
seems like one of the best cards in the set.
It is, yeah, it's an A+. This card is super, super strong. Next, we have Horn of Valhalla. 1 and a white for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. Equip 3. It has Adventure, which means you can cast the Adventure side first, then it goes to exile after it resolves, and you can cast it back for its original equipment. This one is X, white for a sorcery. Create X 1/1 soldier creature tokens. This card is incredible. It is really, really good at a lot of points in the game. Now, you obviously want to save it up for the later game so you can really get a big X. Make like 8 tokens. You know, it's late in the game. We have 10 mana. Let's make 8 tokens and then cast this horn that now makes every individual token just 3 mana, equip, boom. It's a threat. It's attacking for 10. 3 mana, equip to another one, 10. I really, really like this card. I think it's just an A where it does a lot, and I definitely want it. What do you think?
It dodges a lot of traditional removal. It makes every creature into a threat. It survives board wipes, that sort of thing. It just is flexible. You can play it on turn 2, and it's great. You can play it on turn 7, and it's great. This card also seems like an A to me, where I don't know, like what I'm never passing this card if it's in the first pack. Like there cannot be two better cards in the first pack than this, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Like you absolutely 100%. You can never pass this card. This card is absolutely just over the top, amazing. You want it. Maybe if there's a commander and a background that go together perfectly and they're both rares,
right?
I could see that being the scenario, but I'm just going to go ahead and say you're almost never passing Horn of Valhalla.
Right, and if I see it like early on, it's like, oh, I guess I'm white because that card is great.
If somebody passes me it, I'm taking it as a sign white is wide open.
I'm taking a sign that they made a mistake and white's open.
Yeah,
which is the best.
White is wide open.
Lae'zel, Vlaakith's Champion, 2 and a white for 3/3 legendary. Gith Warrior. If you would put one or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control or on yourself, put that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters on that player or permanent instead. And obviously all the legends have choose a background if they're monocolor, so this is going to be one of 2 commanders, the other being an enchantment. But this I was expecting a little bit more, because what deck is putting counters on things? We have Azorius Blink, black-white leaves the battlefield, red-white attack everybody, and green-white tokens. What room does that leave for this peer? You know?
Yeah, this just kind of isn't the archetype, right? Like you're saying, it's a good card, but it's not a good card in this limited format where it's not a supported archetype. Yeah, you'll play this sometimes. Maybe you'll be able to put something together. There are a few cards here and there that do counters, and it does it pretty well. And you can probably, this is one of those fun commanders where it's like off the beaten path. I can try it. But I think this is a C. The card is fine, and it does fine things, but the archetype being unsupported makes me not interested in playing this overall.
Yeah, I'll just give it a C-.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Not exciting.
Next, Lae'zel's Acrobatics. It is 3 and a white for an instant. Exile all non-token creatures you control, then roll a d20. 1 through 9, you return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. 10 through 20, you return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, then exile them again. Return those creatures to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Such a silly, silly card, but it's pretty good. The blink strategy is going to be really high on this, and it avoids board wipes, which you know are at uncommon in this set, so we're going to be seeing board wipes all the time. I'm super happy to take this. I'm not going to pass it super often. It's like a B, B+. What do you think?
It just seems like a solid B range card. Maybe B.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not, again, this is like, I'm not passing this card very often. It's a very good card. It's just, board wipe protection is strong. And if you're in Blink, this is like, woo, A. This is an A for your Blink deck where you could just, all those triggers you want, let's just get them all again, maybe even twice.
It's probably just good in every white deck because enough of the archetypes bleed into each other, unlike +1 counters, which is nowhere. So I think you can just take this and be pretty happy with it anyway.
That's true.
Let's go to Legion Loyalty. This is one of the ones people are the most hyped about. 6 white for an enchantment, 5 words. Creatures you control have myriad. So all of them are tripling up. You can attack the best player for each individual creature, and then everybody else has to deal with them too. Big bomb, expensive, requires a board state, so I don't want to give it an A+ for sure. You kind of have to have stuff already, and then you can just bury people. I would probably give it an A-.
I think it's just an A. I think this card, I know you need a board state, and yeah, it does require you to do something, but as soon as you scale into the late game, you're going to play this card, and so often you're just going to put away games.
People are going to go, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's no, but maybe you're right. You know what? I'm thinking about it a little more. Maybe an A-. You do need at least a decent board state. Like, you don't just need any board state. You need one that's going to be good at attacking, good at getting through, but it does give your creatures myriad. And if they have myriad, they can have myriad, right? I believe that's
myriad
how
stacks.
Myriad does stack, so when you attack, you get 2 attacking the other players. Really weird card. Really weird that it stacks like that. This card's just really good. Again, you're just not passing it. It's a late game finisher.
Yeah, we're going to play, obviously, the Ancient Gold Dragon on turn 7, and then play this on turn 8, and then attack with 3 of them. And then we're going to connect with all 3. And then we're going to roll a 10 on each one, and then all of those fairy tokens are going to have myriad.
I mean, we're going to play the 3/2 flyer uncommon.
Yeah, or just play regular Magic. And
tap down our opponent's team.
And they can't block.
And they can't block. And then, later in the game, we did a lot of damage with that, but we didn't get the kill play. Oh, okay, now it is myriad. I'll get 2 more. Tap down, you can't block again. Okay, well, the game is over now.
Yeah, in combat, they can't block. This card, wombo combos with certain things, And it's great with everything. Just take it, and that's your finisher.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, A-. Next, Noble Heritage, the first background, which, these can be paired up with anything that has choose background in the command zone. 1 in the white, legendary enchantment. Commander creatures you own have. When this creature enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn. Yes? Oh my goodness, this card is so good, and it's going to be in your command zone. Yes, please. This is one of the best backgrounds I've seen so far, and I absolutely love it. Your creature is just going to, you're always going to put two on your creatures. That's amazing. Let's just put free counters out. Upkeep comes around. Let's put free counters out again. We're going to be getting in for attacks, and if they're taking it, we're getting protection from that player. If you don't know, having protection from a player means they basically cannot attack you. It will do absolutely nothing. So this is strong.
Seems like one of the better backgrounds. This one does put counters on, but it doesn't care about that at all. They could be anything. They could just say +2/+2 permanently. This card is great. Seems like one of the stronger backgrounds, at least that we've seen so far, like better than most of the common and uncommon ones. I'd probably just give it like a B,
I think
works by itself.
I think this is an A. This is a really, really strong background. And the fact, obviously I'm talking about you're playing this in the command zone, right? This isn't I'm not saying in the 99 this is an A, but I think when you draft it and your plan is to put this as your background, it is an A. It is better than all the backgrounds we saw yesterday. And we saw some really good ones that were up at B+, maybe A-. I just think it is in the A range. This card's really, really good. And it's interesting because I know an A is a bomb but having access to it in the command zone makes such a big difference for this card compared to this isn't a 58 bomb. In the 58, it's not that great. But yeah, I do think it's an A.
See, I just have this the power level of it doesn't seem broken. I think this could royally backfire in some cases, and it might be bad for you depending on what the board state is. And once it's there, you can't really take it off, right? Each player, it's not like if you say no, it doesn't happen. So players can build up their best creature, not attack you once, and then just send it right back at you next turn.
Yeah, I just don't see it backfiring that much. I mean, it can. I agree. It can absolutely backfire in some cases, but I see it being very little. So somewhere, I think BZ would do at B.
I think it's a B. I mean, you're giving away 6 counters and you're getting 2, so it depends.
Yeah, but I think this is at least a B+. If you're grading it, I think all the backgrounds we saw yesterday, common and uncommon, this is the best of those. I think it's got those beat by a little bit.
It just feels like it's high variance to me.
Yeah, and that's also fair. So I'm going to go with A-. BZ's got it at B.
Started at B. This could be an F. Who knows? If it backfires every time and we don't know.
I don't foresee
But I don't think that's going to happen. It'll probably be good most of the time. Sculpted Sunburst. Good luck understanding this on the first read. 3 white for a sorcery. Choose a creature you control. Then each opponent chooses a creature they control with equal or lesser power. If you chose a creature this way, exile each creature and not chosen by any player this way. It's basically just everybody chooses a creature, and as long as you chose one, everything else goes away.
I mean, board wipes are really, really good, right?
It's an A.
It's an A, yeah. Board wipes is really, really good. You choose a creature, and they can't choose something with higher power. So this does have some upside to just everyone chooses the best creature and keeps it. But because you get to control it, you can just be like, I don't want anything. I don't care about anything.
Or my best thing's a 2/2 flyer.
Yeah, let's take a 1/1. Mm-hmm. Exactly. My best thing's a 2/2 flyer. It's so you do have some control with this card, and with all board wipes, you're in control of when you cast them, meaning you can play around them. If you draw it, you can be like, oh, yep, I'll play this now. Or you can hold it and just not advance your board state too much and then make everyone overextend into it. Obviously, board wipes are really, really good in Limited.
Really good when you're behind.
And they're really, really good in Commander Limited. Extra good. The card advantage you can get from them is, woo!
How many creatures does this kill? 10? 20? It's it doesn't know. It depends on what the board state is. You can get infinite value off this. I'm going to start at A. It feels kind of slash the ranksy where it's hey, everybody keeps their best thing, but I'm in control of when I cast it. I'm in control of what I hold in the meantime. They're going to lose so many cards. And what I really want to do is leave my last creature with something with Myriad and then just smack everybody.
Yeah, exactly. The card's good. The card is not just good, it's great. Yeah, it's an A. Next, we have White Plum Adventurer. 2 and a white for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, untap a creature you control. If you've completed a dungeon, untap all creatures you control.
So you always get one. Sometimes you get all of them.
Yeah. So, I don't know what I think about this card. It obviously is going to help you to get in for more attacks, giving your creatures pseudo-vigilance. It's at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, meaning you can definitely get in for a lot more attacks. I just feel like you really need to be in a deck that wants to be aggressive, right? To make sure you're taking advantage of it. Getting the initiative, definitely a nice bonus here. It keeps this card from... this card feels kind of like meh. Where are you with this grade? This is an interesting one.
I don't really see this as much more than a 3-mana 3/3 that takes the initiative, which is like fine. I don't know. It really feels like a C- or a D+. Probably a C- because it's got some stats. You can just play it early, and then the initiative stays for the whole game. So if this is the card that introduces it, it's pretty good for you. I'd rather just get Vigilance. I don't want to play this other game.
I think this is, for me, it's more like a C+, B-. I think that the letting your creatures untap is actually going to be pretty powerful. It will let you chip in for a lot more damage. We know from like experience of playing Commander Legends that you hold back attacks that would be good because there's 3 other players that can attack you back, and I think this is going to prevent that some of the time. So I'm going to go with a C+, and it could play even better. Just it depends. I'm not positive. I do love that it gives you the initiative. I think that makes this card not be like I'd be down in like the C- range, but getting the initiative is a little bit more on top.
Yeah, with no initiative, it's like I'd probably be in the D range. Let's go to Windshaper Planetar, 4 and a white for a 4/4 flash flyer. When it enters the battlefield, during the declare attacker step, for each attacking creature, you may reselect which player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. So right after people choose who's attacking, oh, you're attacking me with 5 things? Okay, well, here's a 4/4 flash flyer. Oh, you're sending a 3/3 flyer at me? Well, that's going to stay at me, and I'm just going to eat it. And then everything else is going to go at Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this card's really, really good. I love that you just get to hold it up.
That really, the flash is, obviously, like, it could be worded that it didn't have flash, but the flash just makes it oh so juicy.
Well, it can't really.
Like, if it just goaded, like if it was just a 4/4 and goaded stuff, I'd much prefer the flash.
Yeah, this card's really interesting. It's good, but it does have a glaring weakness of it is specific, and it is waiting for a certain scenario, right?
If we're saying that a 6-mana 4/4 is a big creature, then a 5-mana 4/4 flash is better than that.
The body's good.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that the body's good. I'm saying the struggle here is I never want to cast this as a flash, just a flash creature, without getting some bonus of moving creatures around. So we have to kind of bide our time, wait for the right opportunity. If 5 mana is a lot to hold up, that's all I'm worried about.
See, I don't know. If you're happy to pay 4 green for the 4/4, where you're just like never stifling anything, I'm just going to love this. I feel like I'm just going to hold it up. If people attack, obviously I'm going to be expecting an attack. So if people do it, great. I'll blow them out and get a bunch of value. And if not, I could still flash it in, eat something, or just have a 4/4 flyer they didn't see coming.
Yeah, I guess the strength of this card, the upside of this card is so high that I struggle to want to ever cast it for, because not that it's a bad body or a bad rate.
It is the greed.
It's so strong. Like, I want to hold this game or hold this card until it is great, because there is just so many scenarios. This is a get out of jail free card in a lot of situations, and I'm gonna hold this card. I'm gonna hold this card, and I think that I might miss some opportunities with it because of that. But I think that when I do play this card, it's going to get me so many opportunities. It's going to be worth it. It's like, yeah. Obviously, you attacked for like a bunch. You played that Myriad card that gave all creatures Myriad. Okay, you attacked. All right, I redirected everything off of me into other players. Like, I just think stuff like that is so good. I never want to play this as a 4/4 flyer. Unless I'm killing somebody, obviously. I never want to play this as a 4/4 flyer. I'm going to be greedy. I think this is what B+ was my thought.
It's a B or a B+. I'll probably just give it a B, especially since there's some people who are going to be holding it up forever, waiting for something to happen, and then not playing it if they don't.
No. I'm not going to hold it up forever. I'm going to advance my board state.
But you're going to have to hold this up eventually. You're going to say, I'm going to do this, but if nobody does anything crazy, you're just not going to play it.
Yeah, probably.
It feels like, most of the time that's probably fine, but it feels like not playing Restoration Angel because you don't have a creature to flicker. Where it's like sometimes you just want a body in the air.
Oh man, not a commander. See,
if I can eat a creature and take the initiative, I'm playing this.
Oh yeah, they take the initiative. So that is a thing that I could see being relevant, taking the initiative. So that's true, because the initiative is something you want to get. So I could see flashing in that case. But I do really believe me, I want to hold this card as long as I can to get the most value.
So in Joe's decks, it'll be a C, and in everyone else's decks, it'll be a B.
Because the value is going to be A+ every single time.
It'll say sacrifice 5 lands as you hold them up every turn.
No, I already told you I'm going to advance my board state until we get into the late game, and then I'm going to hold it up for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
It's so good. All right, next, Ancient Silver Dragon. I'm going to get all of the dragons, I think. 2 blue for an 8/8 creature.
Wow, that's
Elder
really undercosted.
Dragon. For what?
2 blue.
No, it's 6 blue. Sorry, it's not 2 blue.
Darn it.
All right, it's got flying. It's obviously a dragon. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20, draw cards equal to the result, which is ridiculous. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. This card is good, but at the same time,
How many times can you hit with this?
you can't hit more than once, right? It's just the average rolls. It just depends. Maybe twice. The average rolls are 10. So you're going to draw about 20 cards based on 2 hits. Oh.
This to me just like actually doesn't even seem that great. Like the dragon, when you hit with the white one, you have a dominating board state, like basically guaranteed. And it's a mana cheaper and has more toughness, blah, blah, blah. But this is like, you don't want to hit with it more than twice. You still have to hit with it. It's even harder to hit with because it's more mana. And it's like, the effect is just worse. So this just feels like a C- or something, where this does not seem that good to me.
I think I'm in disagreement there. I think this is a very good card. I think I'm up at like a B+. The card still draws so many cards that it will put you in dominating positions in games. Now, I think that something that from going over the whole set review yesterday, commons and uncommons, is this is a lot faster of a format. I think this card might struggle a little more in original Commander Legends where things were a little slower, but because things are going a little faster, I think those late game, like really grindy, drawing your whole deck games are going to be minimized here comparatively.
Okay, but then I guess all the faster speed will punish an 8 mana 8/8 vanilla, on defense / offense if they have a blocker more harshly.
That's fair. I think it is a B+. I think this card is very good, and I don't know. I'm back to the scenario of like, how often am I passing this?
I could see passing this card.
Oh man, I want to sit next to you. I want to
take it. Take it, and then you'll have your 5 mana flash creature, but not really, and then you'll have the 8 mana 8/8.
This card's good. I mean, I think this card's a B+, and
it's okay. I mean, I'm gonna play it if I see it probably.
You're gonna pass it.
Well, I'm gonna take it to test it out, but like once I get in the gist of I was right the whole time, then I'm gonna probably pass it.
No, he's not gonna get in that gist. Know what gist he's gonna get into? Joe was right the whole time.
This next one's a doozy. We got Displacer Kitten, 3 and a blue for a 2/2 cat beast. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 non-land permanent you control, then return to the battlefield. All of your instants now gain the little side effect of counter target spot removal spell. You just hold them up, fill your deck with instants. You're already trying to play some anyway. Even enchantments, even artifacts, all that stuff. You're going to get extra blinks. And this thing just isn't going to die as long as you hold things up. Especially adventure spells work too.
Yeah, it makes all of your non-creature spells that much better. You're going to be playing some percentage of them anyway. And what makes this card extra good in this format is that all of our adventures will be triggering this card. This card is very, very strong. In the Blink deck, it's an A+, but we're not just talking about the Blink deck. I think this card is a, what?
Any deck.
Yeah, I think it's a really good any deck, but what do you think the grade is?
I think it's like an A-. I think this is going to be so aggravating and hard to kill.
I think it's close. I was like close to B+, but I think I can definitely see A-. Like, this card is really good, and I'm definitely not going to argue with an A- for a card like this.
Yeah.
Next is Elminster's Simulacrum. It is 4 Simulacrum. There we go. We got a sad robot here. 4 blue for an instant. What? You gotta be kidding me. For each opponent, create a token that's a copy of up to 1 target creature that player controls.
3 clones.
3 clones at instant speed. It's the best stuff on the battlefield. You just get to copy their bombs.
You probably get like 2.5 good cards, maybe 2 good cards. Can't guarantee everybody has something.
I mean, but even when you're not getting a good card, you still get something.
And it's an instant.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot out of this card. Great value. Again, really tough to pass. Just when I'm in, especially.
This seems like a bomb.
It does seem like a bomb. I think we're what A-? A- probably is
A-. It requires some kind of board state, and then they also have the thing, so it's not like you alone have them.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I think A- is a good grade for this. It's going to be really strong, and it's going to come out of nowhere. You're going to have a lot of board states you're going to be super annoyed with, where you attack with like your big dragon, and then they copy 3 of the biggest things at instant speed and just eat it, and it's going to feel so bad.
Yeah, it's not going to feel good. Font of Magic, 3 blue for an enchantment. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game, and there's no other text on it. This is like Stormy Spellslinger build around. That's not really a thing here. This is a 4-mana enchantment, and it seems really lackluster. And you got to recast your commander, and how many times are you going to recast your background?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This card can get stuff reduced really well. I could see having a good deck for this, where if you have enough of the like X spells or big giant instant sorceries, that can be good. I think it's a build around. I still think it's not that great. It's like a build around like C+. But I think if there is a potential for a deck where this card is like really, really strong.
I mean, you're going to cast your background on your commander. That's a guaranteed. So like 4 mana, your spells cost 2 less, but only the instants. And this is a creature-heavy format. You can't really build the 30 spell deck. You just can't do that.
Yeah,
you have to be on the board. I would give this either an F or a build around like C-.
It's an F if you're not building around it. I think it's a build around C+.
Don't expect this to be good.
No, I'm gonna avoid it almost all the time. If like BZ said, this isn't a common deck or common archetype, so don't look for it. Treat this card like an F when you see it most of the time, and then if you're happen to be able to make something happen, maybe you're pick one, pack one, you really want to try it, then there's a chance to maybe go for it, but avoid it. Avoid it like an F almost all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Next is Gale, Deepwater Prodigy, 2 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary creature, human wizard. It has choose a background. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard. If you cast from your graveyard this way, exile it instead of putting it into your graveyard. Okay.
Cast an instant, also cast a sorcery, also cast an instant, but you got to pay the cost.
I mean, I guess that this is the deck where you really want that other card, right?
Yeah, here's the random like Spellslinger deck, I guess.
I mean, you could probably make something happen. I think that the key to this is that you're going to be looking for a lot of adventures, right? At
least this is a commander, though. You know, like when I'm building around that enchantment, I hope I draw it, I guess. But this is like, here it is in your command zone.
Yeah. So I guess the idea of like the other thing is you want to be playing the blue-red adventure deck because you do get a lot of instant sorceries.
Yeah, it comes with some spells
when you're playing a lot of that. So yeah, I think that this card is totally fine. It's like a C. I mean, maybe you can get this deck going, and maybe this deck is more powerful than I'm getting credit for. But on paper, this doesn't look that over the top, and you really have to have a lot of mana to like keep doing this. It's gonna feel good, obviously, when you cast like your Dragon to Preordain, and then you flashback Lightning Bolt to kill something.
Yeah, this is a good Lightning Bolt deck.
Yeah, like that's going to feel good. Like, yeah, the red-blue deck is definitely the Lightning Bolt deck. Give it a C, and I think this archetype is underpowered, but if it proves otherwise, this card could be much, much better.
I'll give it a C, and then I will also say for this guy and mostly for the Font of Magic, reducing this cost of your adventure spells, not that great, because it doesn't matter once you get past 2. Like, they're all 1 and a blue. Most of them are like 2 and a blue. You're not going to get away with anything there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now let's go to Gale's redirection. This guy is redirecting something. 3 blue for an instant. Exile target spell, then roll a d20 and add that spell's mana value, 1 through 14. You may cast the exiled card for as long as it remains exiled, and you can spend mana as or any color. And 15 and up, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost for as long as it remains exiled. It's like Desertion or Spelljack. You steal their spell, and you're going to cast it. The question is, do you pay mana or not? If you have to pay mana, it's pretty good. It's still on the good side, and if you have to cast for free, well, then it's just bonkers.
Yeah, this card is really, really good. I mean, this is just a B+. It's conditional. You have to wait. You have to hold it up. You have to do a lot with this. It does ask a lot. It does ask that someone cast a bomb into your 5 mana. It does ask that somebody cast not just a bomb, but something good so that you can steal it. But on that note,
there's 3 other players.
When you hold this up, there's a good chance to get something really, really good. And if you can play a deck that can hold up multiple things, if I have the Angel in this, I would feel so happy. It's like, I can play, I have the Angel, I have the counterspell. Which one am I going to do?
And then they don't cast a spell and you play neither.
And that's fine. I'll survive. I don't need, what do I need to use my mana efficiently?
This is why I'm passing the 8 mana blue dragon. I'm just going to counter it.
No, you're not. You're not going to counter my dragon. You're going to lose to it.
You know what? I'm going to counter it, roll a 14, and then just insult you by never casting it.
If I never cast for free?
Yeah, no, 14. I have to pay. I'm never going to pay.
No, if you roll a 14, it adds the mana cost. So
dang, I have to roll like a 2.
Yeah, you have to roll like a 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so this card's a B+.
B+.
Yeah, it's not a bomb, but it is very, very good.
Never going to not make your deck.
Yeah, Ithalid, Harvester, 4 and a blue. For a creature horror, it's a 4/4. And whenever Ithalid Harvester enters the battlefield, turn any number of target tapped creature non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 horror creatures.
I know this card.
All right. This says Plant Tadpole. What?
Plant Tadpoles is one of the best adventures.
Plant Tadpoles. That is a weird adventure name. X blue. Tap X creatures. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Really good card here. It's the turn things face down that are tapped is going to be pretty good. You're going to get rid of a lot of things. You're going to trap commanders on
one
the
of the only ways to do that.
Yeah, that's not. You can't do that very much. what you're going to do with this card is you're going to tap down every single thing that's relevant, put it on an adventure, pass the turn, they'll do whatever, and then you're slamming this, and you're just, boom, all those tap things, now they're 2/2s, and it's going to feel really, really good. It's going to be really strong.
This card is really weird because if you just gave me the adventure, I would evaluate that as an entire card because that can kill people by itself. If it was just, X blue tap things, X things that don't tap, I go, who's the player to my right? Really sucks to be them because I'm going to tap all their stuff. I'm going to smack them, and I'm going to make deals with the other two players to just smack them and to create a little truce and just knock them out of the game. Yeah. That's going to be miserable.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very strong card by itself. And plus you get this other guy that just, does some stuff on the edges. He kills.
He does things. It's like, here's another card, but you already got a full card.
It's a removal spell. This is really good.
Yeah, huge tempo.
Wait, what, A-?
Yeah, A-.
A-, B+. It depends on how you look at it. But yeah, this card's really, really strong.
Doesn't look like a game ender, but I would treat it like one. Kindred Discovery was so out of place. 3 blue for an enchantment. This card's amazing, kind of. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters or attacks, you draw a card. So, don't expect this to be as good as it is in regular Commander. But this card is so good in regular Commander that I think even if you scale it back, you know what cards are in your hand. You know what creatures you have. Sometimes multiple creatures make the same kind of token, like that fairy dragon thing. If this just said draw a card every turn, it's probably good, right?
Yeah, this card
is weird.
It's weird for sure, and I'm not sure how good it is, but I do know one thing for sure. Blue is one of the colors that cares about creature types, and it's a dragon creature type. It's
true.
You're going to have a lot of dragons in your Kindred Discovery decks. You could probably almost always name dragon with this.
Seems like a build around B+. This card's going to be good all the time, so I would never pass it. But then it's great sometimes, and you just can't lose, and it wins the game by itself.
It's a build around for sure. You want to make sure you have. I think that you had to be dragons. It's almost exclusively dragons, but it's a B+, like you said.
There's probably just a lot of humans and halflings and tieflings running around. There's not going to be that many different types. What makes this card so much better than all the other tribal payoffs is if you draw it after you draw your tribal cards, it still draws cards. And if you play it before, it still draws cards. You can't stop this thing.
Yeah, it's a very, very good card. Up next is Robe of the Archmagi. The Archmagi,
Archmagi, I think?
No, Archmagi. I like Magi. 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment. Whenever equipped a creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. So that's pretty strong. Equip 4, that is sizable. But equip to a shaman, warlock, or wizard for 1. Now, you might be thinking, Joe, that's got to be great. There's probably lots of those. This is the D&D set. There's only 23, and there's only 4 commons that have this typing. But I think this card still has potential. It can draw you a lot of cards. It does cost a lot to get going if you're not putting it on these types. But if your commander is one of these types, which a lot of commanders are, this card is a lot stronger in that case.
And then you still have to get it through.
Yeah, I'm looking at playing it in the Spellslinger deck, the 4/2 flying dragon. I think that thing is going to be able to punch through a decent amount.
And by Spellslinger, you mean the Adventure or Dragon?
The Adventure deck.
Card, yeah. It just seems like a D. Sometimes it'll be great. It's really clunky. There's a really weird lack of all of these creature types that you're just never going to equip it to anything for a discount. Sometimes you pay 7 mana to draw 2 cards, and then you feel okay about it. I just give it a D.
I think it's a build around. I think that I would say it's an F if you don't have any shamans, warlocks, or wizards. I think it's a really, really bad card that you just almost never want to be playing in that case. 7 mana, equip it up, and then start going. And maybe if in a certain scenario, I'd say avoid it in that case. But build around, I think it's a C+, where if you have enough of these types,
and you can connect.
So you need them to be flyers. But it's specific. It is a very specific card, but if you build around, I think it's a C+.
Yeah, I say, forget about it. Shameless Charlatan, 1 and a blue for background. Commander creatures you own have 2 and a blue. This creature becomes a copy of another target creature. So it always has the ability, because it's always your commander, even though it can copy something else. That seems pretty good to me. I mean, there's not going to be any hexproof or indestructible things running around. So it's going to be hey, your commander is the biggest lightning rod ever, and this card does nothing else. It seems okay, though.
No, yeah, your commander is always the best thing on the battlefield.
That seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, it's super nice. It's weird because you want to build your deck around your commander often, but what this kind of lets you do is play just a generic commander, right?
Play whatever.
Yeah, play whatever commander gives you the best chance of actually going off.
You just play the cheapest commander because it doesn't even matter what that card says?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Like, I'll take a 2-mana. I'll take the Grizzly, right?
Yeah, take the Refined Grizzly. Who cares what it does?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it does because
At least that one can't be countered.
we're just going to activate this ability and make it a copy of the best thing on the battlefield every single time. Yeah, this card is good. I think it's like a B. Solid background.
Looks like a B. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It kind of feels like a card they wouldn't have wanted to print here because it like nullifies decisions and just means your commander doesn't matter. But whatever, we'll play it.
Yeah, it's quite a strange Magic card.
Yeah.
Next, we have Tomb of Horrors Adventurer, 5 and a blue for an elf monk, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. When you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. If you've completed a dungeon this turn, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copy. Yes, this is a very
Any spell. So even like creatures that become tokens.
Yes, so yeah. If you copy a permanent spell, it becomes a token.
But so you just get that. Like it doesn't have to. Even if it said no dungeon text on it, and it just said, cast your second spell, copy it. That's pretty sweet.
This card is really, really, really good. It's your second spell too. So on certain turns later in the game, you can go this into whatever you want to copy right away. It's always your second spell.
You know what the Wombo's with?
What?
Adventures.
Yeah, Adventures.
2 mana. Sorcery, and then 2 dragons.
Yeah, this card is really, really good. I think this is a solid. Might not
B plus.
Maybe
it's slow. The only thing is it's slow.
It is slow, but it rewards you for playing Magic and it gives you the initiative. It might be an A-.
It asks nothing of you. I'm just gonna give it a B plus. It's great.
I'm gonna give it an A-. I do think this is in the bomb range, where it's just like this
you
card
have to kill it.
This card is gonna run away with games. It's gonna make you a target. It's gonna need to die, and taking the initiative on top of all of that is just gonna be, gravy on top because this card's already doing great stuff.
God help your opponents if you have 2 instants held up and they're trying to take the initiative from you.
Yeah, this is a great. This is a good card.
All right, Volo's back, but this time he's monocolored, and this is him from the past, I think. Itinerant Scholar, 2 and a blue for a 2/3. When he enters the battlefield, create his journal, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof, and whenever you cast a creature spell, note one of the creature types it hasn't been noted for this artifact. So get ready for some accounting. 2 tap Volo. Draw a card for each creature type noted on the target permanent you control named Volo's Journal. Wow, what a clean design. It just rolls right off the old tongue. It seems really good, right? Wow, it just doesn't even matter if Volo dies because his journal stays. So you always get to keep the counters on it.
Okay, this card is really good. The fact that the journal is hexproof means it's not dying to spot removal, and there's not a lot of ways to get rid of it outside of that. So, yeah, you're going to have to enter Volo a lot because it's just going to keep getting notes on it, and notes on it, and notes on it, till the point that this is a ridiculously strong draw spell, and they're going to cast it for 5 mana and not care because the next turn they're going to draw like 5 cards because it's so easy to get going. Yeah, Volo is very, very, very strong.
As soon as it's at 2, you're doing it. It's done, and you don't have to do anything else, and it's going to hit 2. That's basically guaranteed. So
I don't know.
That makes this card like unstoppable late game advantage, and then it just has more text and it can do more things. But I think 2 is like, I feel great with 2.
I don't know. I feel great at 1 even. It's like,
in a slow game, yep. Yeah, I'm happy to have it.
Okay, I'll start paying 2 to just start drawing a card. It's like, I'll take that. I will definitely take that. And this card's going to get far and beyond that to something much, much more powerful. So yeah, I think this is an A. Really, really, it's because it's your commander. This card is so good in the command zone, so I think you give it an A because, like you said, the journal's sticking around 90% of the time.
One of the best commanders in the set. It's definitely an A. So if you already have Elf and Rogue on the journal, but you cast an Ogre Rogue, you're going to get Ogre on the journal.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just, and you pick, like, if it has 2 types, you choose the best one.
Yeah.
You can look at your hand and say, hey, I have 2 elves, but I only have 1 wizard.
How are you not getting, like, 5 counters on this thing?
Easily.
Exactly.
You're just going to build this thing up super duper easily.
Amazing card.
Up next, Wizards of They. 3 and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature human wizard. If you couldn't have guessed that, it's got Myriad, so we know that when you attack, you know what Myriad does. You already know. BZ told you.
They're pros.
Yeah, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. I think this card is bad.
How long are you going to be able to take advantage of that very fleeting sorceries and instants cost 3 less when it attacks?
So to be fair, it does give your sorceries flash, meaning you're just going to be able to cast them in combat before they're blocked and eaten up.
And you don't have to attack with this.
But the problem is the 3/3, right? I'm like,
it has no frills. It's just going to get eaten up by anything.
Yeah, but maybe it just being like a Baral for 4 mana that when you want to like really get it going, you can attack with. Maybe that's good enough to make this good. Again, this is the archetype I'm worried about. Now, again, if this archetype shows itself to be stronger than we're thinking, these cards get a buff. But right now, I'm on like C for this card.
I mean, we're not going to find any more that matter in this entire video. It's like all of that matters is the commons and uncommons, and there's not much there.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is that is this card is the archetype better from the uncommons and uncommons that we kind of overlooked it a little too much?
Did we miss the whole thing? I don't
it?
think we missed that much, but I think this is much better than the enchantment that has no text if you're not caring about instant sorceries. This one at least gives your sorceries flash. You don't have to send it.
C. I think it's a C.
It just seems like a C, yeah. It's a playable card. Unlike the other one. I wouldn't play that.
It might be good. We'll see.
Altar of Bahal. We are on black cards now. 1 to black for an artifact. 2 and tap. Exile a creature you control. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's like sacrifice, but they don't want to put it in your graveyard because then you can loop things. So you sacrifice a creature permanently and then just reanimate something. So I'm already on board. This card's already amazing. And then as Bone Offering as an adventure. 2 to black for a sorcery. Create a tapped 4/1 black skeleton creature token with menace.
It gives you the thing to exile.
Well, this is amazing, and if you don't answer it, you can't outvalue this person.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it doesn't want to give loops, so, yeah, it's just going to it'll exile whatever you're throwing away, but if you can make tokens, they'll be even better. This helps with leaving the battlefield.
Yeah.
Really good in that deck, really good in the graveyard deck. Yeah, I think this is a solid A-. It's really, really strong.
I think so, too.
It's going to be great in a lot of decks. As long as you can, once you get it going, like, it might take a while to get this going to a point, but this is a reason to actually play those mill cards from the commons and uncommons video where we're like, why do we want to just mill our deck? Well, this kind of card is the reason you just want to mill your deck.
But like if you have a creature that just makes a token when it enters, you can just jam that thing all the time because the token is what you exile, and that creature can never die.
Yeah, good luck keeping any threat off of the battlefield. You're just not going to be able to do it. They're going to turn their worst creature into their best creature every single time over and over again until you're crying.
Sack outlets mean if they have a good ETB, they can just spam that and play their creature, get the ATB, sack it, exile some token dummy, do it again.
Now, BZ, I know that you actually got the first black card this time, but I still got the dragon.
I'm never going to get any of this stuff.
This is Ancient Brass Dragon, 5 black for a 7/6 flying elder dragon. Whenever it deals combat damage, you're going to roll that d20, and when you do, you may put any number of target creature cards with mana value total X or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This card's an A. Wow, is this card very, very good. It just requires you to get to a point into the later game where you have the creatures into your graveyard. That's not a lot to ask. This card is really, really strong.
It's funny that I fought you on the white dragon, but I still think it's better than both the ones we've seen so far. I think this is like a B+. At least the 1/1s are consistent and they have evasion. You're kind of relying a little bit on what your opponents get, and unlike the white one, if you roll like an 8, could be bad. Could still just not even be that great. Like you could get back like 2 things maybe, but they might not be that impactful.
This hits your graveyard. This hits your opponent's graveyards too.
Yeah, it hits everything.
This card is definitely an A in my book. I can't the fact that you can get stuff out of your opponent's graveyard is going to be. It's going to be so miserable for them.
It's going to be really good. I would just give it a B+.
You're going to... I don't know. It's just so tough. It's like, this is a bomb, right? This is a 7/6 flyer. Its body is super, super relevant all the time.
It's big.
On any board state. And then as soon as you connect, you're getting great value. I don't know. I don't know how...
It's an amazing combat trigger.
I don't know how this is an A. It's just...
If these were attack triggers, these things are all get A+.
I just don't think it's...
There's a little bit of extra things to do.
It doesn't... But the body is relevant on the board. It's still relevant. Still doing something great.
Sure.
Oh, I don't know. These are A's. The dragons are A's. Don't let BZ...
Except for the ones that I gave B+, or... I think I gave like a C- to the blue.
I don't know how he did that. That also... I gave that one a B+.
We can revisit these 5 dragons and see after 7 drafts how scared we are of them.
Yeah. You're going to be very scared. This dragon's going to be...
I don't want them to hit. I'm scared of them, but at the same time, they're less of a threat than other cards.
You're going to be sitting there, and you're going to be like, oh, no, I have a blocker, but my opponent to my left doesn't have a blocker.
What it's going to be is, we'll have to, what are the top 10 cards in the set? And for me, 2 of them will be dragons, maybe. But then yours will just be all 5 of them. And I think that's where the difference is. Because I think the best cards in the set are the board wipes and the game enders, guaranteed.
Oh, those dragons are so good.
All right, Asterians. I'm not saying they're not good. Asterian's Thirst. 3 to black for an instant. Exile target creature. Put X +1/+1 counters on a commander creature you control, where X is the power of the creature exiled this way. That's a lot of flavor text for a 4-mana exile creature. Your commander's going to get a little bit bigger if it's on the field, but if it's not on the field, it's not like I'm going to never cast this.
It's interesting. This is a decent removal spell, and gives you something else. You don't want to cast it when your commander's on the battlefield.
See, I might just still do that. It's not like that. It doesn't feel that
You're right.
detrimental.
Yeah, but you do want to get max value out of it. I'm not saying don't do it, but obviously when they play an Ancient Brass Dragon, you're obviously going to kill it with this, even without your commander on the battlefield, because it just needs to be answered. Yeah, this. What, C+?
C+. It's like pretty good removal spell, but I'm not, this isn't like a first
The fact that it exiles is a lot better than the card like Murder. Like, I want this way more than Murder, but
it's not a windmill slam.
I can easily pass it, but if I'm in black, I probably want it.
It's just a good card.
Next, this card's really good. It is Blood Money. 5, black, destroy all creatures. For each non-token creature destroyed this way, create a tapped treasure token. This card's amazing.
This is where your A's are. This is your A.
This is an A. Yeah, this card is really, really, really good. We could go over why board wipes are good in Commander again, but you already know. Because
let's instead go over why getting 13 tapped treasures is good.
Yeah, you're just going to untap and do a lot of things. And this set, unlike our last set, has a lot of X spells.
Yes.
A lot of ways to actually use this mana. If you're in a black-white deck, you wipe the board, and then you also, by some chance, open the white rare to make the X ones. Good luck ever losing that game.
I mean, we have like the X white rare to get all your creatures back that you just destroyed.
Yep.
And turn it into a build your own Plague Wind. We have the X make a bunch of tokens. X tap all the creatures down in case they somehow play any. It's just gonna be so good.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of there's just X spells, and this card's gonna be great. And obviously, you're going to get to you don't get to rebuild that turn, but when you untap, you're gonna be untapping with like 20 mana.
If I had this card in my deck, I think I might play I think Fireball's bad, but I think I might play one if I had this card in my deck.
I could see it too.
Because you could just dome somebody for 20 easily.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This card's really good. A. Maybe an A+. It's up there.
At least an A.
It's at least an A. I mean, board wipes are A's. This is above a board wipe in a lot of ways. So I
might do A. Yeah, I think I haven't given a dragon higher than A-, so I think this is better than all the dragons, so I'll give it an A. I think that's fair. Call it to the Void. I'm trying to be consistent. 4 and a black for a sorcery. Each player secretly chooses a creature they control and a creature they don't control. Then those choices are revealed. Destroy each creature chosen this way. We got some mind games. It's not a board wipe. It only destroys several things, not everything.
It's going to destroy all the best things, right?
Yeah. So it's weird because if an opponent expects you to hit their best creature, then they kind of have to choose it and basically sacrifice it. But if you see that coming, you choose something else, and now they're out 2 creatures instead of 1.
Oh.
So many mind games. I don't even know what I would do with this card.
The first thing you start with is, this is the coolest mind game card I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, what would you do if your opponent cast this card? I don't know yet.
We had a Wheel of Misfortune last time.
That was cool.
And that was a really cool and fun card.
But you can kind of game it. You can't game this.
Yeah, and that card was not even that good. This card's good. Mm-hmm. This card is really good, and it's a fun mind game. Now, for fun, this is A++. I'm going to put this in the Commander deck because I think it's one of the coolest cards I've seen in a long time.
I love these cards.
Absolute great design. I think this card is still in A. It's going to answer all the best things on the board. You're just like a board wipe. Similarly, you're going to wait. You're going to hold your bomb in your hand so that your bomb is invulnerable to this card. Then you're going to cast this. We're going to kill all the best things on the board, and then we're going to deploy our bomb.
Yeah, keep your threats because they're gone if you play this. But even so, up to 8 creatures could be chosen, and 6 of them on average aren't yours. So that's probably good for you.
I think this is just a B+. It's really, really
good. It's
a B+. It's really, really good. I'm going to be really happy. I want to play this card a lot because I think it's going to be a fun card to resolve.
And it's going to be backbreaking. Some people are just going to have like 3 things chosen on their side.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be miserable for them.
Some people, it's possible for someone to get like 6 things chosen on their side, right?
Everyone has to choose a creature they control and that they don't control. So the max is 4.
Oh, so control and don't control. So the max.
So 1, 1, 1, 1, and then you can give 3 out additional.
So you can lose 4 things potentially. That could be rough.
That's probably not going to happen. It would be extra brutal.
It would be very brutal. Next, Cultist of the Absolute, black legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own get +3/+3, have flying, death touch, ward, pay 3. Wow, that's all upside. So this must be an amazing card. There must be downside in this card somewhere. And there is. And at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Uh-oh. Now, I want to start here. This card is an F. But we're going to go to build around because you cannot just throw this card in a deck. Do not just play this as a background. It might be better to have the faceless one if your deck cannot play this card appropriately.
Well, in the late game, like if you traded this like a secret 7-mana card where it's like, 1 mana, but you can't cast it before turn 7 when you have 5 or so creatures anyway. A lot of the black things overlap. Some cards give you tokens where it might just be, hey, for the most of the game, my commander's a 2/3. But now it's a 5/6 later in the game. You can control it. You don't have to just jam it on turn 1.
I think you need disposable tokens.
But I think black will probably just give you those.
I mean, it depends. I think it's a build around. I think you really it's a card that I want to make sure people know. Don't just pick this card and don't just play it because you think it's good.
You got to make effort.
You have to make effort. The deck has to be built around it. But I think it's like a build around B-.
Okay,
where
I think that's fair.
When it's actually doing things, it's really. I mean, the buffs it gives are very, very, very strong. If you can overcome the downside. This card is 1 mana, give your creature +3/+3, flying, death touch, ward, pay 3 life. Okay, that's obviously very good. You just have to overcome the downside by building around it.
Another background that might result in commander damage.
Yeah, it could.
I like it.
It's flying, yeah. I mean, if you have a 1/1 commander, it's a 4/4. That's a 1/1.
Yeah. Elder Brain, 5 black for a 6/6 menace. When Elder Brain attacks a player, exile all cards from that player's hand, then they get to replace them by drawing that many. You just play cards and lands from among the exiled cards for as long as they stay exiled. So as soon as this attacks, I don't care what happens. I'm in mega super value city because assuming we're right around the time this would have attacked, it's like turn 7 or 8, they might still have bombs in their hand that they haven't deployed yet. And now I get them, and I don't care what. You're going to get like maybe even, honestly, worse cards on average than the cards you're holding on turn 7 and 8.
One thing I don't like about this card, is that in Commander Legends, there will be a player from time to time in certain games that misses a land drop or two. And this is the most punishing card I have ever.
It's game over.
It is absolutely punishing. Now they're missing their land drops. And sure, you're going to refresh their hand. They're going to get their land drops. But now
they won't get any of the things they planned on doing. The reason they kept the hand.
Like the bombs.
Yeah.
Like any bomb that they had in their hand is now yours. I think this card is really strong.
It's going to die, though. Like when you send it, it's probably dead.
Oh, yeah.
But who cares?
But
you just get to steal somebody's hand.
It is a 6/6 with menace, so there are scenarios where it won't die. Like
but it's like 2 for 1, a walking 2 for 1 on the ground that steals their hand and gives them random crap.
Yep, I like it. I like it a lot. I think this is I think it's an A-. I think the fact that
if it was combat damage, I would give it an A-.
Not that. It's that you don't exactly know what you're getting. You are going to pick the player with the most cards, and like it's definitely very good.
I think in most cases it just doesn't matter. It's just so many cards.
You might be right, and that is very possibly true. It's going to depend, and yeah, maybe this is just an A. I think I want to see how it plays. I'll give it an A- for now, but yeah, it's definitely.
I'm excited to try it.
Definitely a very good card. Next, Eldritch Pact. 6 and a black for a sorcery. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of cards in their graveyard.
Oh. Talk about a feel bad.
This is a burn spell.
Man.
This is a 7-mana burn spell. You're going to burn someone out of the game in the late game.
This is like burn for 15. Or in the mid game, you could maybe draw 8 cards or something. But past that, I don't even want to cast it.
Yeah, it's a weird.
It's like a. I don't like this card. I don't like this in the format. It's gonna just end somebody's career and then they get to sit there while the rest of the game happens.
I don't mind this card in the format. I want to punish my friends that build a grindy deck that does nothing. It's like, oh, you've cast all your cards. You're down to 10 cards in your deck. Okay, I'll kill you because you did nothing all game.
I'm more worried about the early, like halfway through the game, just taking somebody out.
Yeah, I don't think
late game. Sure, all bets are off. You know, if it can only be cast on turn 12 and up, might as well say all players.
I don't foresee that happening too much, though. I will say against a graveyard deck that's self-milling, it's going to be like,
you.
What the heck? I just lost. Yeah, this card could feel bad. I think it's like a C+. I think
so.
I don't think this card is like super duper good, but I'm going to play it in a lot of my decks.
Small window where it's good for you.
There is going to be times in the game when it's just a strong card for you too. And finding the right spot to cast this is going to be tough. But I think it's a pretty fine card. C+.
It would be better if it said your graveyard. Then you can just self-mill and like actively control it more. Intellect Devourer, which is, I don't know, this just looks like the exact same card as what I just read.
It's another brain.
It's like all of it looks the same to me, but it's 3 and a black for a 2/4. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent exiles a card from their hand until this thing leaves the battlefield. Oh god, it reads the same. You may play lands and cast spells from among the cards exiled with it. If you cast a spell this way, you can spend mana as over any color. All right.
They choose the card?
Hold on. They get to choose. It's only when it enters?
Mm-hmm. This card, I like
this card. What the heck?
What, you like this card?
I don't like this card. I was like,
okay.
Discard a card, basically?
No, I was going to say, you like this card? Yeah, I think this card's bad. I think, like, it exiles cards when it enters. It's like rotting rats. It's like, you get a rotting rat.
But you like, it's not even draw 3. You know, you could say that if you're a hype factory, you know, and you're trying to, like, you know, prop up this card, but like you're not really drawing 3. You're drawing the 3 worst cards in anyone's hand.
And you can only do it while this is still on the battlefield. If there's actually something scary underneath it, they're going to kill it, right?
Right. They're like, oh, shoot, I can't cast my 8-mana thing. but I don't have to worry about it. It's basically just discard.
And they're most likely never going to give you the 8-minute thing anyway because they have the choice. I think this is like a D. I think
so too.
I don't think I'm playing this card almost ever. Maybe if I can get some, like enough flicker effects, I'm like, oh, I can get a lot of value out of this card. But I don't foresee that happening too much. So yeah, let's just give it a D.
I might give it a C- just because the quality of the average common might just make it so that this mediocre effect is just something I'll play.
Yeah, I'm D. D for me still. I think it's pretty bad. Next, Pact Weapon. 3 and a black for an artifact equipment. As long as Pact Weapon is attached to a creature, you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. Whenever an equipped creature attacks, draw a card and reveal it. The creature gets +X until end of turn where X, and you lose X life, where X is that card's mana value. Equip is discard a card.
Say Dark Confidant, and the creature gets that much bigger.
I don't think this card's good.
It's hard to control. We are going to play a higher curve, so there's a chance you can get domed for 7 or 5 or something. I don't think that not losing the game for 0 or less life, I've never been a fan of Platinum Angel stuff. It's not as good as it seems.
I don't think it's very good.
Basically just flavor text.
You only have to remove the creature or remove the sword. Either one will end that effect immediately. I'm not really interested in this card. I think this card's bad. Will I play it maybe in some deck? Maybe.
Looks like a D.
D.
Mythic does not mean bomb unlimited.
Yeah, I'll be passing this one.
Ravenloft Adventurer, 3 and a black for 3/4 human rogue assassin. When it enters the battlefield, take that initiative. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead and put those famous hit counters on it. Whenever it attacks, if you've completed a dungeon, defending player loses 1 life for each card they own in exile with a hit counter. That is not a satisfying conclusion to the hit counter saga, where it's like, oh, they just like lose 2 life. Okay, whatever. But what we're actually looking at is like when their stuff dies incidentally to playing Magic, it goes under here. They can't use it for reanimation or anything. And then when you feel like it, send them in and drain somebody for like 5.
Yeah, it's fine. This card is okay.
4 mana, 3/4 initiative, probably playable, and then it's got more stuff on it.
Yeah, I think this is just like a solid like C+.
I think C+.
It's totally solid card. Like you're never gonna be unhappy taking this card. But it's not like I'm not chasing this. This isn't like the chase card, though. Maybe it's more of a B- because I can like when you get past this, it is kind of a sign, right? Like you're never gonna. It's gonna be rare that you see this card and go, "Well, black's not open," because it's
yeah. Let's go B-. Let's give it some credit.
Now,
I mean, the middle ability is not as amazing as it would be in regular Commander because nobody's got stuff that you need to hose. There's not a lot of dice triggers.
Oh, right.
They still get the least triggers.
If Volo was the best commander, this might be the second best commander, only behind Volo. It's Shadow Heart, Dark Justicar, whatever that is. 3 and a black for a 3/4 legendary creature, elf, human, cleric. You can choose a background, so that's pretty great. And you pay 1 on the black, tap, sacrifice another creature. Draw X cards where X is that creature's power. This is a very, very good Magic card. It is, I think, easily an A. It is going to be one of the best sacrifice commanders you can possibly get. I absolutely love it, and I'm here for it. It's going to work well with reanimator strategies as well. It's going to fill up your graveyard. It's going to draw you lots of cards.
Chump blocking, chump attacking even.
This card is really, really good. I mean, there's not much more to be said for it. It is card draw from your command zone. You're going to be sacrificing some useless creature you didn't need and then possibly reanimate it. Maybe you have like that big old worm. Maybe you're playing a green-black deck. The 8/8 worm, you sacrifice it, draw 8 cards, then reanimate it, just bring the worm back, and now you're up 8 cards. This is a really, really solid commander, and I absolutely want to get this one. I want to open this all the time.
Probably top 5 commanders. I'm just ballparking it, but this card it reads like a dream. It's
probably the best. It's probably the best black commander.
Well, I would hope so. Sound the alarm, because I get one of the ancient dragons. This is the ancient copper dragon, because we're in red now. 4 red for a 6/5 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create that many treasure tokens. So this is one of the best ones, probably the best one in regular Commander. I don't know if it's the best one in this format.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like treasures, they're great, obviously, but they're not. You don't guaranteed have ways to abuse them. It's just going to help you cast your spells and pay for commander attacks and stuff. That said, it is the best rate for all these dragons by a mile. 6 mana, 6/5 flyer. Much easier to connect when you play it early, and maybe you can even ramp into it on turn 5 or something. So I'm going to give this one. Let's go A-.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's one I got it at B+ with the.
Whoa, you're lower than me?
I think I have it at B+ with the Draw Dragon, where I think it's really good. I think it's really solid. And the treasures can be really good, but they're not always really good. Now, we have talked about how adventures and card advantage are pretty big in this format. So actually, I'm rethinking it. No, this is probably at least an A-.
Well, at least we agree.
Well, I'm rethinking it because what I'm rethinking about this card is you can use a lot of mana. If you hit a 20, I think you could use that 20 mana. And with X spells existing in this format, again, those are important to being able to use excess mana like you might have from a card like this. I think it's really strong. At least an A-, maybe trending toward A. It's a really good card. It really is great. And the rate, again, 6/5 flyer is going to be the biggest thing in the air most of the time.
And we agree on one of the ancient dragons.
We do. It is very good. Next, Baldur. 3 red-black for a 5/5 flyer. Whenever Baldur attacks or dies, choose one or more. Each mode must target a different player. Target opponent draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. Target opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact. Baldur deals damage to target opponent equal to the number of cards in their hand.
So 5 mana, 5/5 flyer, and the rest is basically upside.
Kind of. I mean, there is. I don't know. I don't know how good making a player draw 3 then discard 3 at random is. Is that bad for them?
Burning Inquiry, I think on average is bad for them, seeing as I never want to play that card ever.
Yeah.
I think I would just give somebody draw 3, discard 3. If they have, let's say they have 2 cards in their hand, they're probably pretty good, and so now they've got a 60% chance of getting rid of any one of them.
This card's solid. I mean, this card is
it's a 5/5 flyer for 5 with stuff. It does other stuff. The other 2 modes are positive.
Whenever it attacks or dies. So this is going to be triggering all the time. And the bottom mode that you can keep doing, the burn one, is actually really, really good. The fact that you get to choose a player, there are going to be those players who are playing those slow, dirtily decks that you're going to dome for 7, dome for 7, dome for 7. Suddenly they took 21 damage from Baldur because they decided to play a slow deck.
Doesn't need to connect. A.
Easy A. This card is really, really good, and it's going to absolutely... I think 2 of its modes are meh, like sacrifice the non-token artifact and the draw 3 discard. It's meh. You're going to choose them every single time just to get them all out there, but I think they are meh. This card's still an A. Just if it did just the bottom mode when it attached,
same thing, really.
It might still be an A. That's how good this card is.
All right, this card you could read in a couple different ways. This is either the Caves of Chaos Adventurer or the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. 3 and a red for a 5/3 human barbarian with trample. Enters the battlefield, take the initiative. Whenever it attacks, exile a top card of your library. If you've completed a dungeon, you can play it for free. Otherwise, you can play it this turn or cast it this turn. So it just attacks and draws a card and enters the battlefield and gets you some initiative.
Yeah, so it takes the initiative. This thing kind of dies in combat pretty easily.
3 toughness, but 4 mana.
I mean, it's trying to take it back. Yeah, it is a 5/3. It is for 4 mana. This card's not bad, but I'm not excited about it. This isn't like I'm gonna play it in every single red deck I've ever opened.
Feels like a 1.5 for 1.
Yeah, the initiative is definitely solid.
No, like a 2 for 1, because you can't not get a card off of it. Each turn of the battlefield, you get a quarter of a card or whatever the initiative's worth, and then if you introduce it, it's even worth more. And then it just attacks and you draw a card.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
Yeah, let's give this a card a B.
B minus.
Yeah, B minus. It's solid. It's not like the most exciting, crazy card you're gonna open, but it definitely is a good Magic card. And you're not, if you are playing red, you're not gonna leave this card out of your deck.
It feels like a good uncommon.
It won't happen. You're going to be just playing this card in your deck. Next, Descent into Avernus. Avernus. 2 and a red for an enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. Put 2 descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Avernus. Then, each player creates X treasure tokens, and Descent into Avernus deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters on Descent into Avernus.
So where's the good part?
This card is weird. So, I don't know. I can see this card being decent in some hyper aggro deck that I'm going to get in with.
This card seems terrible. You're giving away treasure tokens.
Yeah.
You're just handing them mana, and then you're like, okay, take 2, and then what is it? You take 4. It's like, okay, but I've given them 6 mana each. You're going to lose the game if you cast this.
It adds up fast, but everyone's getting the same amount of treasures, so they're getting the same amount of stuff. You get access to the treasures first to really use them first. It's interesting. I'm not saying the card's good. I just think it is possible this card can play a little better than it reads, where it's this game, if this card isn't answered, which there is plenty of answers, common and uncommon, but if this card isn't answered, it's just kind of going to be really, really annoying.
Or they can decide, hey, we can't answer this card. Let's just deal 5 damage to him, and then he dies first.
Yeah, and it's also at the beginning of your upkeep. Let's just give this card a D.
F minus, minus, minus.
I think it's a D minus. I think it's a D minus that has a little bit of potential to do something, and if it can't be answered, it'll deal 2, 4, 6. So that's 12 damage to each of your
over
opponents.
4 turns.
It's slow, but it has some potential. That's why we're giving you a D. Like, it's not like I'm fighting for this card to be great.
But in that scenario, you just gave away 36 mana.
Yeah, but I dealt 36 damage.
Yeah, I think there's cards that I think will lower your win percentage. I think you might not be able to win the game if you cast this card. Like, you will just almost guaranteed not win.
D minus.
I think is horrible. I think it's an F.
I disagree.
Elturel Survivors, 3 in a red for an 0/4. What? Trample Myriad, as long as it's attacking, gets +X/+O, where X is the number of lands defending player controls. Oh, look, they just reprinted Coastline Marauders, but they did us a favor, and they gave us the right rarity, which is rare.
Yes. Coastline Marauders was a very, very good card, and this card is better because you can just keep attacking with it over and over and
More
over
toughness,
again.
and you can bully somebody, but the person with no blockers for it coming in.
This card's good. This card is really, really good. I think that this is an A minus. It's so wait. This is a B plus. It's really, really good, and you're gonna love this card every single time you play it. But I do think it's a B plus. It
Scales with the game.
It does. It's a good Magic card. We know Coastline Marauders from the last set was really good, and I think this is just a better card.
It's like 1 millimeter outside of an A. It is very, very strong. Don't underrate this thing just because it says 0 on the power side.
B plus. B plus. Very good Magic.
B plus plus.
Next, Feywild Flutist, 4 red for a 4/4 giant bard. When Flurgburger enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature you don't control until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste and myriad until end of turn. It's an ETB.
And it's the thing you take, it's probably going to die.
So in the sacrifice deck, this is a very good card. Like, you're going to be really happy when you play this in the sacrifice deck.
Pay 1, put it into your 1/1 lifelinker, sack it.
Yeah. So interesting about this card.
Seems like a B.
I think it's like a B. I think it's a B minus. Because the card by itself isn't that good, right?
I think the creature is dead. I think whatever you take is going to die. Like, you're going to run it into somebody who has a bigger creature, and the thing you take is good, and they're going to go, okay, well, what can I do? I can either just take a hit from this, and it continues to exist on the battlefield as a threat, or I can just eat it.
I mean, I love living in, like, magical Christmas land with this card.
Where you take a dragon.
Oh, where you take any one of the dragons, except for the blue one, because that could be detrimental to you. 20. Oh, I'm dead. But I'm just imagining, take the white dragon, hit all 3 players, just roll.
Hit the 1 in 1600.
Get 31. Whoa, it's so cool.
You're going to get 31 dragons? If you decided?
Yeah.
10, 10, 11?
Yeah. Well, the average is 10 is 10.5.
Oh, you're going to get like what, 9, 10, 12 or something?
10.5. So I should get 31.5 dragons. I rounded down.
Duh. We did the math. This card's really good. You should just take it.
B minus. It's a B minus, and like the thing will die quite often.
If you look closely, it's actually a B.
It's no, hold on. No,
is that a minus?
He's playing a B minus.
Oh, he's playing a minus.
He's playing the B in B minor.
All right. Well, how about Karlach B minor? Fury of Avernus, 4 and a red for a 5/4 Tiefling Barbarian. Whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until end of turn. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. One of the best commanders in the set. You don't have to do anything. This thing doesn't have to attack. Treat it like an enchantment. You just get extra combats. What? This works with Myriad, too. I mean, you lose the tokens, but you just get more when you attack again.
This is an A+.
This seems like an A+.
This is the...
Like, just hold it until you have a great attack and then kill everybody.
Volo is incredible.
Yeah.
This is much better than Volo.
This looks nuts.
This is the best commander in the entire set. I don't think it is remotely close. You will dominate games with this over and over and over again, and it has background. You're getting some background with it. It doesn't need to be attacking itself. Extra combats all the time. I don't see how you can make an argument that this isn't an A+. This is the best. Like I said, this is the best card.
Requires 0 building around.
It might be the best card in the entire set because it can be your commander. Now, some cards obviously can do more than this, like, and be like better.
Dragons have higher upside.
They have higher upside, but this can be your commander.
Consistency. Remember Companion? And some of them were actually like really too good. This one is going to be really annoying to play against. But format self-correcting, you're going to be able to say, hey, face up. We know they have that. Let's get them.
This is I think the best card from even from the last Commander Legends. This is the best card
limited?
For limited.
Okay.
For limited that we've ever seen for either Commander Legends. If there's an A+ if there's an A++ and only one exists, it would be this.
The king.
I think the king of both limited formats is this card.
We'll see if we can top it before the video's over, but I doubt it.
I would be shocked because this card is incredible.
And we still got a green mythic legend to get to.
We do. Next, we have Popular Entertainer. What in the red?
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, but we're popular. This is our background.
Wow.
Let's see how good it is. Legendary, and let's not get too excited yet. Legendary enchantment background. What do we have? We have whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, go target creature that player controls. Oh, this is good.
Oh, it's pretty good. Because you can hit 3 players and get all 3 goads once per player.
I'm in. B+. I think
one in a red? Yeah, B+. Sure.
It's a really cheap thing, and we don't have to get in with our commander. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals damage, okay, that's not my commander. I don't have to put it at risk. Myriad's going to make this really, really good. We're going to be goading all the time.
Right.
Super strong.
Still have to have your commander like all backgrounds. They're all tied to it, but you don't need to put it at danger.
B+. I want to, you know what I really want to do? I want to play a mono red deck with the mythic we just said and this. I want to open the mythic and the rare and just go, I'm mono red.
See, what I'm looking for is a mono green like tree commander, and then I can build the BZ deck, where it's a tree but it's a popular entertainer. All right, here's a card that exists: Storm King's Thunder, X red. Copy the next spell you cast X times, and you can choose new targets. Pretty sure this is terrible. You might get a build around C. The cards you're copying there's not much. I mean, so if you go like spend 9 mana and then play 10 lightning bolts, that's a real thing. So I think I don't want to give it an F. I'll give it like a build around B. Not a lot of decks are going to meet that requirement.
So I think what my issue is that this big X spell blue-red deck that we keep talking about is all rares. It's all rares. But if you get all the rares, which is not even that impossible. If they're all open, I can see them getting passed on.
Because they're all bad?
Because they're not that good. But if you get all these rares, this could be really good. I mean, obviously, if you can make a ton of mana and do all this, yeah, I think it's safe to say this card is a D, but maybe you can get there. I think it's just safe giving it a D. I don't even want to give it a build-around grade because I don't think it's a build-around card. I think it's just... it can get there sometimes, and it will. Obviously, when it performs, it overperforms every single time. I just don't think it'll perform well at all.
It's one of the cards that we always see, whenever we talk about our 17 land stats, which we do all the time, like every 5th episode, we see that, it's like the game's cast win percentage. It's going to be like 95. You're like never going to lose when you cast this card. And then, but how often does it win when it's in your deck? Oh, it reduces your win percentage.
I actually think you're wrong. You're going to lose a lot when you cast this. You're going to end up casting it for like 1 and then not getting enough value out of it.
No, see, I'm saying when you cast it and it's the thing. When you cast it X7, the win percentage is 95%. When it's in your opening hand or when it's just not cast in the game because you can't cast it because you don't have anything, it's terrible. So It's just like a D.
D, yeah. Up next is Wand of Wonder. 4 in a red for an artifact. Pay 4, tap it. Roll a 20-sided die. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card, then shuffle the rest into their library. You may cast up to X instants and or sorceries from among them, exiled this way without paying the mana cost. 1 through 9 is one of them. 10 through 19 is 2 of them, and 20 is 3 of them.
So it's 4 tap, and you're guaranteed 3. You're guaranteed a pool of 3 to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
This card's amazing then.
it's expensive. It's a little slow. I think this card is good. No doubt about it. This card's going to be good. Even though it's expensive, you can just wait on it and just get an activation. The activation will be strong.
Yeah, as soon as you get one, you're kind of paid back, and then every other one is like, we got to stop them. They're dominating the game.
Yeah, so I think this is B+.
B+ sounds fine. Or
yeah,
B.
It might be a little slow, so maybe it will be more of a B, maybe a B-, because it is an expensive card to get going. But once the ball gets rolling, every other player is gonna be like, answer that. Can we please answer that?
Yeah,
that
expect
needs to be
2 most of the time.
Expect 2. So yeah, let's give it a B and say that it is expensive and it has a lot to it.
It'll take over with no problem.
Absolutely.
You don't have to. It doesn't require anything. You just will take over if you untap with it enough. Wrathful Red Dragon, 3 red for a 5/5 flyer. Well, it's a good card. For a dragon you control, dealt damage. It deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dragon. There's more. Well, you just get more stuff. B+.
B+, absolutely.
If they block it, you just 2 for 1 them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely a B+, and in the dragon deck, it's even
going to be
better.
like the best card ever.
It's going to be super good in your dragon deck. I actually think there are a lot of dragons in the set, and most decks will have a dragon or 2. So this is going to be even better. You play even better. I still think it's a B+. I don't think it's the bombiest bomb, but it's going to be really good. A 5/5 flyer for 5 is going to be strong.
I mean, if you're down to one other player, or you've got a truce going, or you're in a position where you can attack somebody, and you have a bunch of dragons, they're basically unblockable.
Yep.
You either block them and take the damage anyway, or you don't block and you die.
Then you take the damage anyway.
Seems like a B+.
Seems like a solid B+. Really good card. Next, Weil. Good name. Will. I guess it's Will with a Y. Whoo.
Wheel. How about Wheel?
Wheel. Blade Frontiers. 1 in a red for a 1/1 legendary creature. Human Warlock. If it has choose a background, just want to say that now. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many +1 and ignore the lowest roll. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, put a +1/+1 counter on Weil.
Yeah, you remember when we were going over the archetypes and we give you the red die rolling archetype?
Yeah, this is, I think, an F.
I think it's an F. The payoff is not even that good.
This is going to be one of the really fun commanders to try and build, right?
See, I don't know, because it just kind of says you're going to... It changes it from when you have 3 options, 20, 1 through 9, or 10 through 11, or 10 through 19. It's just a guaranteed middle. So you get the middle roll, which is kind of what you would expect anyway, on all of your spells. And then this thing's like a 4/4. I think this card sucks.
D-, but
D- works for me.
I think it's a fun deck to try and build.
I will probably try it. But we have Wheels Reversal. 2 and a red for an instant. Choose target. Spell or an ability with 1 or more targets. Roll a d20 and add the greatest power among creatures you control. That's random. 1 through 14, you may choose new targets. Great. 15 plus, you may choose new targets. Then copy it. And you obviously get new targets for that too.
This is, I think it's an easy just, B?
B? It's like a 2 for 1. You're countering their spell basically and then making it. So it's at least a 2 for 1. And then you're killing something. I don't know. This is a pretty good card. B or B+.
When it works.
Because you can't not get you may choose new targets.
When it works, it's a 2 for 1, right?
But you got to wait and kind of hope they target something.
Yeah, but on the same note, I think this card, and you have to wait, you have to bide your time. And
Hits abilities.
It does hit abilities. The card is going to get you a 2 for 1 in a lot of scenarios. So yeah, I think it's just an easy, B, where it will be good in your red decks. Next, I got another one of the dragons. You're not going to believe this.
You got 4.
Ancient Bronze Dragon, 5 green, creature, Elder Dragon, 7/7, flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20, obviously. And when you do, put X, +1/+1 counters on each of up to 2 target creatures where X is the result.
So how do you feel about this one?
It's good. I mean, it's obviously going to make you a huge threat, and I don't even want to put the counters in this thing ever. I just want to make 2
No,
other.
if it hits, you kind of won the lottery and you just go, here's 2 more big things you got to deal with.
I think it's just, it's kind of, I think it's a B+. The fact is, when this hits, the amount of counters you're getting are over the top good that people aren't going to be able to go through you to go big. They're going to have to go around you with like toughness or remove. You make 2 new threats. Like if this hits or when this hits,
you turn nobodies into somebodies.
You turn 2 mediocre cards into
nobodies.
2 really good cards.
Somebodies.
Yeah, I think it's a B+. I think it's really
B+ is good.
Really good, but it might even be an A-. I mean, these dragons are all so good.
Yeah, it doesn't really require as much as some of the other ones, like the black one and the blue one to some extent.
Nothing
where
has
it's like blue's like don't kill yourself with it, but this one's like, do you control 2 creatures? Probably.
You know what? Let's give this an A-, because it's at least as good as the red one, I think, because like you said, you don't need to pay off the mana. You just need to have creatures, and that's just going to happen.
I hope so.
So when it deals damage, it's going to be incredible.
I'll give you this. I'll throw you a bone. A-.
I think it's an A-, but I still think the white one is an A+.
Still think the white one's better. Let's go to Barroom Brawl. Jeez.
Barroom Brawl.
Blah?
Barroom Brawl.
All right.
Because I was doing Blitz.
Yeah, but you just did Brawl.
Brawl.
One in a red. One in a green.
Brawl.
One in a green. Sorcery. Target creature you control fights. Target creature the opponent to your left controls. Then each player may copy the spell. No. The person to your right is going to fight one of your things. Get this out of here. This is an F. This card sucks.
I love this guy.
So they couldn't even give me sorcery. I mean, flavor on point.
I don't think this card sucks. I want to say.
I
Don't worry. It's not like I'm sitting here and going like, I love this card.
Stop saying that.
Play it in every single deck.
Clip it out of context.
But it's cool, and I think it actually does have some potential to do something good. Now, that being said, it's a D, and I'm not playing it often, and it's going to get passed around the table like nobody's business, but it is at least has a little bit of potential.
So, hold on. Let's walk through it, right? So, you have a 7/7. Whatever. You got the Mythic Dragon. Good for you. You got a 7/7, and you fight their 5/5. Yeah, I was thinking the creatures that can fight and live will gradually go down, right? Because their 5/5 can't fight a 6/6, so it's going to fight like a 3/3. And then, maybe they'll fight a 2/2, but then the 2/2 still just eats your dragon, which has 5 damage on it. So I can't even imagine a scenario where this is that good.
Yep, you're right.
Feels like each player loses their best thing.
A D-. I mean, I'm fine with calling it a D-, but I don't think it's an F.
I'll call it an F.
Next, we have, what? You say, if you're going to do that, you got to say our patented line.
F this card.
F that card. You got to stamp it. F that card. No, it's F that card.
F that card.
You don't even know our own. You don't even know the slogan.
We've been doing this for years now, and I don't
you don't know F that
really
card. Next, Bramble Sovereign. This is a good card. 2 green for a 4/4 creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 on the green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature.
Only thing is non-token.
So, yes, whenever a non-token enters. But even then, okay, let's start here. It's already would be an amazing, strong card if it only hit your creatures, which is how you can play it.
Essentially, that's what it reads. However...
Kind of, except for there is politics to be played. I have 1 in the green left. Oh, you played an 8/8 Trampler? Well, as long as we agree that thing never attacks me, boom.
No one's going to pass that up. Here's an 8/8. Just, I kind of want protection from it. That's pretty reasonable on both sides. And now you just kind of, out of thin air, create an 8/8 that you don't have to deal with.
You will eventually be betrayed by that 8/8 if it comes down to 1-on-1.
I think that's fair, though. It's like, hey, as long as I'm here with other people, leave me alone.
I usually say that in my deals. This card's very good. This
A.
Is A. Yeah.
It's a 4-mana 4/4. It's like the Angels. It's a 4-mana 4/4. They'll just run away with the game if they don't do anything.
Yeah, it has to be answered. I mean, every single one of your creatures is just going to be 2 creatures.
The key is to play 2 of these, and then you can copy the second one, and now you have 3. So then they can't kill it.
Yeah, if you can somehow play a second one of this, yeah.
I don't know how that's going to happen. You can maybe just clone it or something.
This card's really, really good, though. It's simple. I mean, it's simply an A. It's
just a complete
snap it up.
Here's a magic card. So it's Earthquake Dragon, and it costs 14 in a green, and it's a 10/10, flying trample, and 2 in a green, sack a land, bring this thing back from your graveyard to your hand. And it costs X to cast, where X is the total mana value of dragons you control. So if you have a 6-mana 4/4 dragon, this thing's going to cost 8 in a green. So if you have like 11 mana worth of dragons, this thing's 4. It's so weird because the card is like unstoppable, monster. But you can't cast it unless you have a couple of dragons.
It's interesting.
I think I'd still pay... Would you pay 9 for this? It's like if any of the other Mythic Dragons had trample at all, they would all be A+. And this thing is 10/10 and it has trample. That's the thing that like pushes it over. I'm not saying this is an A+, but that makes it so that this thing isn't chump blockable. You can't stop it.
Yeah, I just think this thing's a B+. I think
B+ is fine.
The mana value is what keeping this card down. It's keeping it like out of the range of like... But all that...
Build around A?
I don't think you need to build around it. I think that dragons are prominent enough in this format. And if you're in green is one of the dragon colors.
It is. There's not a ton. There's a few.
You're automatically in one of the dragon colors. There's a good amount, actually.
There's like a chunk. I mean, there's probably like 15. And you can play multiples of some of them.
It's one of the dragon colors. And so it's just like, there's a lot of those, like, remember that 5/4 that gets the initiative? Like, you're just going to have those kind of cards in your deck.
It's true, but you can't really just have one.
Yeah.
You kind of
no, what I'm going to say is that's just going to exist in your deck because all these little things. That stupid thing that taps for 1 mana, that's a dragon. Like, it's all over the place. You're just going to have dragons.
This thing's also unkillable.
You don't have to build around it. It's just I think it's a B+, very, very strong.
It is a B+. Just, I guess, check your deck. If you finish the draft and don't have any dragons, take this out.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, I think that there are...
On average, B+.
I think...
Some decks it'll be an A++++, unstoppable.
I just think if you draft a green deck, you're going to struggle not to have enough dragons to play.
You probably will, but just keep it in mind, I guess. You can, tiebreaker, dragon wins during a draft.
Yeah, exactly. Next, we have Jahara, Friend of the Forest, 2 and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature, human, elf, druid, choose a background, tokens you control, tap for a green.
Tokens is the green-white archetype.
So you need to be in specifically a token strategy. This is very much a build around because it doesn't do anything if you're not in the correct strategy. But once you're in that strategy, this is obviously very, very good. I think it's a build around B+.
I was going to say build around A.
I think it's a build
around A-. Your tokens just power out more tokens, and then your expos just become off the charts.
Okay, so maybe this is a build around A-. Let's give it a build around A-. It's really, really good if you're in the archetype. Green-white, you have to specifically be doing that. Otherwise, you do not want this if you're not making tokens.
This is great. This is the perfect get out of jail free card with the build arounds, right? Because I know other channels have done this in the past after we picked it up. But, if somebody says, hey, I built around this and it wasn't good, all I have to do is say, it's a build around A-. You just didn't build around hard enough.
Is that
perfect?
That's perfect. Yeah, it's your fault, not our fault. We would never give bad advice.
You think we're wrong? You always get the legend, and I always get their other thing. This is Jahira's Respite. 4 and a green, instant. Search the library for X basic lands. X is the number of creatures attacking you. Put those things on the battlefield tapped, and then you also fog all combat damage. So you can't hit their creatures. They can't hit you. It kind of is just a weird rampant growth. I think this card's bad.
This card's interesting. And
I can't even hold this one up. At least the other things we've been talking about, you can just say, okay, play it. You can't play this.
Fog is bad. We know fog is bad.
They have to attack you.
They have to be attacking you. You can get some lands out, but is that even that good? Especially because you have 5 mana for this.
F this card.
I don't think I want to F it.
What?
I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a D-.
I think it's pretty bad. It might be worse than Ballroom Blur.
Ballroom Blue. All right, sure. F this card. We've done it. We F this card. Next is Majestic Genesis. 6 green sorcery, reveal X. Reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the greatest mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. You may put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order.
Yikes.
It's just tough. We're only, for commanders, we're seeing 5 be the top end.
From 2 to 5, 90% of them. This is just kind of not good, I don't think.
I think it's a C-. I mean, I think it might play well. It might do something in some scenarios. And in your decks that's very, very heavy on the permanent side, yeah, revealing the top 5 for 8 and putting all the permanents in place, so it's always the top cards. It does hit lands. I mean,
let's say every card in your deck is a permanent. Go ahead and cut a third of it off right now for lands, and then you're going to really cut another quarter of it at least off for the spells that you have to play.
Sure.
And then you're paying 8 mana for it, and you're not getting X as 8.
Sure. So I'm going to give this one a C. I'm going to give it a C-. I'm going to try it. I mean, maybe it's a D, and it might play very poorly, but it looks like it has some potential.
It's a lot of mana for a question mark. At least with the dragons, you know what you're getting.
Fair.
Let's go on to Monster Manual. 3 and a green for an artifact. 1 and a green tap. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay. And adventures for 2 and a blue. Sorcery, mill 5 cards. Then return a creature card milled this way to your hand. So you kind of only get a crack at the top 5. So it's weird cantrip, but then it's 6 mana Elvish Piper. 6 mana total for an Elvish Piper activation.
This is interesting. I'm not sure what I think about this card.
I hate Elvish Piper in regular Commander, but this is not regular Commander.
Yeah, this is a very different format, and there are decent things that drop in. I still think this card is just a D. I don't think you're really going to want to play this card. Maybe in a deck that wants to self-mill pretty often, taking the, just milling, getting a card back, and doing something with your graveyard.
I think Green-Black likes it because they got the fatties and they got the mill.
I think it's a D still. I'm not interested.
D+.
I just don't think this card's very good.
I think it's a D+.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next, the late game, it does nothing.
That's fair. Next, Owlbear Cub. I love this card. 2 and a green for a bird bear, and it's 3/3. Mama's coming.
Best italics ever.
Oh, it's so good. Whenever Owlbear Cub attacks a player who controls 8 or more lands, look at the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that player. Put the rest of them on the bottom of your library in a random order.
So, this is going to sound weird, but are owlbears, like, infertile? Because clearly an owlbear is a common. You see them all over the place. But an owlbear cub? No. That's very rare. You don't see a cub.
Yeah.
Do they not have kids?
And also, cubs are one power toughness less than their mamas.
Yeah, they start out like almost there.
This
card is so good. 8 cards is a lot of cards.
It is, and you're going to be able to trigger it easy. All they have to do is control
8 lands. So just save it for the late game. Don't attack on turn 4.
Yeah, exactly. Save it for the late game. Don't throw it out. Leave it in your hand until. I don't know if it's so good. It is good though.
You know what the Wombo combo is? Thieves' Tools.
Yes. This is a chump attacker a lot of the time, but it is a good card, no doubt. I think it's like a B-. I love this card. I love it.
Sounds good.
I love its design, but it will be chump attacking to get you a free creature, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but what if you miss? What if you don't hit something that strong?
Chances of failing are there, but the chances of making unblockable and can't lose the game are also there.
Yeah, exactly. So B-, it is a strong Magic card, but I'm not this isn't like the best card ever.
No, it's not. Raised by Giants, 5 and a green, legendary. Maybe this is my background. Commander creatures you don't have.
No, you weren't raised by Giants.
Oh, I was raised by
your children will be raised by Giants.
Yes. Base power toughness 10/10 for your commanders, and they're giants. This is weird. It's really expensive. It's 6 mana. Probably sticking once it hits, though, but then as your commander sticking, it's kind of just a weird power boost. Feels like it depends on my commander, honestly.
It does. It really does depend on your commander for this card. I think if you have one that's really cheap.
Tramples, maybe?
Maybe tramples. There are just situations where this card could be decent. Flying is, really,
we haven't
really
seen much of that.
Yeah, so let's see. I don't think this card is broken or busted, but I think it's pretty good. Let's say C+. I think it's going to perform pretty well, but I mean, I'm interested to see where this one goes, because this one I could also see playing better, because the 10/10 is huge. I mean, what it actually does is a lot. Like, your attacker is basically has to be chumped.
And it's commander damage.
And if it's not chumped, it's getting through or it's eating something. This card is just strong. So, yeah, I think we're just going to go with a C+.
C+ to start.
Might be better.
C+ this card.
That's lame. Next, Traverse the Outlands.
Reprint.
Yeah. 4 in a red, 4 in a green for a sorcery searcher library for X basic lands, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle.
How does this do in limited?
I think bad. Well, no, I don't think bad. I think not that great.
I think it's going to be sad explosive vegetation more times than you think.
No, I don't think it'll ever be explosive. I think having a 3-power creature is pretty easy.
Yeah.
So you'll probably get 3 lands at least. But
it's fine.
You can get 4 more.
Looks like a C.
No, I think it's a little better than a C.
If you get 10, it just doesn't matter.
I think this is a C+, B- range, where maybe it might just play better than you think, because casting this and getting 3 lands is pretty dang good ramp.
In the early game, it's pretty solid.
It's unmatched. And even as you scale into the later game, you can start playing. Again, we have a lot to do with our mana. That's what's good about this one.
I'll give you C+.
C+. I think C+ is the correct grade for this. And
if you're not on board, you're wrong.
It could be better. And yes, I did scratch my armpit, if you were wondering.
Perfect. Undermountain Adventurer. 3 and a green for a 3/4 Vigilance. One of the only cards I've seen with Vigilance on it. ETB, you take the initiative. Tap for green, so that's great. If you completed a dungeon, tap for green.
B+. This is really simple. This card is really good.
It's already great. I don't care about the dungeon. And then if I do, it's Expel Heaven.
Taking initiative is really good. And what I really like about the initiative now, I didn't mention this before, but these cards pay off initiatives really well. But if you actually finish that dungeon, it's really powerful. That final room is really strong. 10 cards deep to find something, you're gonna get something good. So yeah, I love initiative cards. I like taking the initiative, and this card is just a Mandork. Even if it's a 4-mana Mandork that taps for 2, that's a pretty good card. But it's got way more text than that, so I'm super in for it.
Yeah, now we get to the multicolored legends, which on their face probably going to be a little bit stronger. They're going to not require a background, so they kind of just do their own thing. And then we're going to get into the 3-color commanders.
This guy is vibing, and I absolutely love this guy. It is Alejandro the Seer.
Ooh, who wants to speed up you reading this card?
2 green, blue, For a 3/5 legendary creature, human shaman, tap. Draw a card, then exile a card from your hand and put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. It gains when the last time counter is removed from this card. If it's exiled, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. Then remove a time counter from another creature you own in exile.
Close. Each other card you own in exile.
What? Each other? Each other? Okay, this card's good. This card is really strong. You just tap, draw a card, you put a creature, you suspend the spell for its mana cost, and then you just keep doing it over and over.
So I suspend an 8-drop. Then on my turn, it now is 7 turns until it'll come into play, and I suspend another 8-drop. So then, once I suspend it, because it's all part of the same ability, my 7 goes to a 6.
Yep.
And then I have a 6 and an 8. On my next upkeep, I go to a 5 and a 7, and I suspend something else. Let's say it's another 8-drop just for to make this not confusing. I have a 4, a 6, and an 8. Holy crap. I can't even like fathom this card. It seems, to me, when I first read it, it seemed terrible. I didn't really read the last line of, I wasn't done. I didn't really read the last line of then remove another thing. It seems slightly less terrible. I don't know if I like this card.
This card loots over and over and over again. And while you're looting and doing this over and over again, you're slowly just becoming inevitable for these huge spells that are coming down the line.
I hate everything about this card that isn't how it plays. I think what the most annoying part is the most relevant bits is the first half that you probably just forget about. It doesn't go into your long-term memory as you read the other 8 lines of you just draw a card and then you do it, so you get a little looting. And then it's like, oh, then remove another one. So I hate everything about this, but probably actually just fine.
I think this is like a B+. It's a really good commander.
I'll give it a B. B because I have doubts.
I think it's a B+.
Because at a certain point you just want to play your things, and how will you suspend an 8-drop on turn 5? Because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it sooner than when you would have just cast it.
You're getting free spells, though.
I mean, you're drawing cards. It's just weird.
You're getting free spells. You're hitting your land drops. You choose which ones you want to cast. You just suspend things.
Let's go to Asterion. We saw their other sorcery, the Decadent. 4 white, black for 4/4. Death Touch lifelink. Okay. Beginning of your end step, choose one. Either somebody loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn, or you gain life equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn. Problem with that second bit, there's not a lot of ways to do that. We're not gaining too much life. It might just be 4 from this if you somehow hit. But target opponent loses life. See, even that I feel like is weird and conditional, because if you smacked him for a bunch, it's kind of win more. You already smacked him for a bunch.
Yeah, it's interesting. The problem is that we're not, the life gain part really, like you said, it just isn't relevant. That's not an archetype in this format, so it's not super interesting. I think this is just a D where it's just not an archetype we actually have, right?
Yeah, for somebody else, not us.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, win more.
It's for all the standard players.
Yeah, not very good for all the commander players. Next, Baba Lysaga.
If that's not Baba Yaga, I don't know what it is.
Baba Lysaga. It's a Night Witch. 1 green-black for a 3/3 legendary creature, human warlock. Tap. Sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrifice permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards.
So you need artifact, creature, enchantment exactly, basically, in this format? Or am I missing something? Because you're not getting Planeswalker, you're not getting Tribal.
Land.
Oh, you can sack lands.
You can sacrifice the lands.
So now artifact, creature, land is much more doable.
Yeah, there's treasures everywhere.
So in the late game, this is a house.
This thing could be a house. Sacrificing land is pretty detrimental, but
it's like you save it for turn 8. You don't play this right away.
Yeah, you play it out late game. Yeah, this card could be really good. I think this is like B-, where it won't provide you a lot in the early game, but as you grind into that late game, it'll be really, really strong.
I feel like as soon as you activate it once, it's one of the best commanders.
Yeah, maybe. But
you're not going to expect this out of every other commander, especially not every turn.
Yeah, making sure that you have things that you're willing to sack and is the key, right?
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you got to do. And even late game, you can just, who cares if you need it? Just sack it and dig deeper in your deck.
Yeah, exactly. Something good about this is when you build around this, you could potentially play backgrounds to sacrifice to get good advantage.
Yeah, play random backgrounds. Sure. Let's go to Bane, Lord of Darkness. I did do some research. This is one of the 3 bad guys of the set. 1 white, blue, black for a 5/2. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, he's got indestructible. The same is true for those other 2 that we'll get to. But that seems pretty good to me as a start. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you can put a creature card with equal or lesser toughness from your hand onto the battlefield. That's going to be tricky mind games for them. They don't know.
They're probably just going to let you put something on the battlefield, right? Almost every time.
Probably. It depends. But this is also just potentially a 5/2 that's not going away.
Yeah.
This card just, I mean, obviously it's good. This card seems very good. There's some mind games. You're going to get cards off of it every once in a while. It just triggers so often.
Yeah. What do you actually think of this card? I think it's fine.
I think it's fine. I think they toned down the second half because the first half is like, whoa, you read it and you go, really?
Yeah. I think this is like, I don't know. It kind of just feels like a C+.
I think it's a C+, but now we can get, since this is our first 3-color commander, having 3 colors in your deck, also a guaranteed power boost. It just means your deck's better.
As long as you can hit your colors, yeah. I mean, the weakness is to a 3-color deck is that you might not hit your colors. So
I feel like we should kind of bake that into the 3-color commanders, though, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you don't get to do this with anyone else. So maybe it's like a B-.
I still think it's a C+.
I think I would give the card a C+, but then the fact that you can just play Esper, and especially Esper overlapping with Blink, and you get the black cards now. I don't know.
I really like this card. I think this card is much better. It's Baal, Lord of Murder. Whoa.
Second bad guy.
Yeah. Lord of Murder is quite the title. 2 black, red, green for a legendary creature god.
Let me guess. Murders you control get +1/+1.
No, as long as your life total is less than or equal to half of your starting life total, he's indestructible.
Weird.
Just like the other one. We know this. Whenever another non-token dies, they all have this. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, goat it.
I'm sacrificing actively. Green and black are the graveyard colors. These are all going to overlap perfectly, by the way. So yeah, we're in Christmas land. We just get to do whatever we want.
I think it's a solid B.
I think so too.
I think this card is good. It's a nice solid commander.
But you know what? I might even do B+ or B plus, just because of the 3 colors now.
Yeah, you do get a 3rd color. Yeah, B+. I think it's solid. I like it. B+.
What else is there to say? I mean, you're goading creatures, you're forcing damage, you're just getting so much value. Not even card value, just advantage. The Council of 4, 3 blue, white for an 0/8. Clearly they're all 0/2s. Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. Okay. And whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you get a 2/2 white knight creature token. This is a legendary creature. This just sits in play. I'm really interested in getting 2/2 knights, so it's going to actually happen a lot. Card, I don't know, maybe like once every 4 turns.
It's a lot of value. You're just gonna get value for free. You don't have to do anything.
Synergy required? 0.
Yeah, literally 0. The only thing I don't like about this is it doesn't really fit the blue-white archetype well.
None of these really do. None of the 2-color ones seem to be quite on theme for rare, but then the uncommons are.
Yeah, so for this one, I think it's a strong card. It just kind of gets you value over the course of the game. I think it's a solid like B-. You know, I'd rather be playing the other guy who cares about blinking, actually, but this card's still good.
Yeah, you know, the like green-blue suspend, white-black life gain. We've talked about this all before. And then the white-blue opponents casting things.
Yeah. Classic, classic.
And then the green-black control 3 permanent types.
Yeah, we've seen this.
Tried and true.
Well, I mean, at least it's sacrifice. At least it's kind of getting there.
Kind of.
Next, Duke Older, Raven Guard, 4 red, white for a 5/5 legendary creature, human, noble, soldier. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste in Myriad.
Why is this one on theme?
This one is super on theme and it's super good.
What the heck?
I absolutely love this card. I think
he's great.
It's I think he is like what a B+.
B plus A minus.
I think it's A minus because this is a reason to play this archetype.
Triggers right away.
This is a bomb. I mean, like you said, it does trigger right away. You just give Myriad to whatever silly thing you want. It doesn't even have to be a creature that's good at attacking. You can put it on like that 2/2 that enters and draws a card. Okay, I'll attack. Draw 2 more cards. Now it's just divination for me for nothing.
Yeah, for no mana.
I will. Yeah, this card's really, really good.
It's so obviously fantastic that
A minus.
What a weird edge to give to the Myriad deck. Where it's like, you just get an extra commander. Nobody else does. Dinah here, Invoker Adept. 1 blue, red, white. For a 4/4 haste, you may activate abilities of other creatures you control as though they had haste. Tap when you next activate an ability this turn by spending 4 more mana to activate it. Copy it?
What is this deck?
What is going on? This is like you still get a boost for being 3 colors, but you also basically don't have a commander.
No. I don't think if the commander is not good, I don't think it's worth it. We've seen this.
We saw it with Archivist, which was garbage.
You don't want to do it.
It feels like you almost lose the boost that you get because if your commander doesn't do anything, You basically mold a 7 every game.
I think it's an F. I think you don't play this card ever. It's not worth it to go into 3 colors to try and get that extra boost. Losing your commander is worse than getting the 1 color boost.
You have to have so many bombs, and basically have been drafting incorrectly the whole time to be playing this, I think.
No, thank you. Yeah, F. Next, El Minister.
That's it.
El Minister, yeah.
Like share, one name.
It can be your commander. That's important. It's a Planeswalker, and it costs 3 white, blue, legendary Planeswalker El Minister. Whenever you scry, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this turn. Draw a card, then scry 2. Exile the top card of your library. Create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the number to that card's mana value.
And the starting loyalty, of course, is
something. Hold on. 5. I knew it the whole time.
5. So it pluses to 7?
It pluses to 7, yes.
Okay.
There's some high starting loyalty, but this is a weird scry.
I mean, it can be your commander.
Weird scry spellslinger deck. It's like a C. I mean,
I don't know. It's not. I just like none of that crap even matters to me. It's like +2 Serum Visions, -3 get dragons, right?
It doesn't protect itself and
Makes a bunch of dragons.
If you set it up, but also if you play this -3 and hit a land, you go, oh, well that sucked. That was really, really bad, and now it just dies, and you just wasted your commander.
Well, I think what you do is you plus it to 7, probably not dying or taking too many hits, especially on turn 5, which you're guaranteed to cast this on. Now it's at 7. You set up the top 2 cards of your library, you put the cheaper one on top, then you draw it, and then you go, oh, 7 drop, and now I don't care what happens.
I think it's the begrudging C+.
I'm going to give it a B.
C.
Card looks really good.
I think it's a C+. I don't think it's as good as BZ. I think
Joe is so far off, then he's going to kick himself.
BZ's wrong. I'm right.
As soon as you turn off the camera, he's going to kick himself. Glunch.
Glunch.
The Bestower. 1 green white for a 0/5 flyer. Legendary creature jellyfish. I remember Flump, and I'm not excited. At the beginning of your end step, choose a player. They put 2 counters on a creature they control. Choose a second player to draw a card. Then choose a third player to create 2 treasure tokens. You just actively give out 2 things. You can choose the people who are the worst recipients of the gifts. They're all pretty good gifts. But you're going to make sure that one of them is you. Probably draw a card.
Yeah. I don't know what to think of this card. It's a lot to give away.
It seems bad.
It does seem pretty bad. It's probably like a D. I mean, I could see this card playing a little better in certain decks, and maybe if you build around it.
You really got to build around all the group hug green-white cards.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's go with a D. D minus. You're probably never playing this, but it's fine.
I'll give it a D minus.
Next, Gorian Wise Mentor. Green, white, blue for a 3/4 legendary creature, human wizard, vigilance. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copies.
Hey, a relevant thing. We have adventures.
There are plenty of adventures in every single color. We're going to be happy to have this. I think this card is just very good, right?
3 mana, 3/4 with the copy adventure things. So kind of like whenever you cast an adventure, draw a card. Basically, you're getting a card's worth of effect. B+, A-, because it's 3 colors and relevant?
I think it's a B+. I do think it's a B+. It is an archetype that isn't super duper supported, but still very good.
I mean, I think it is supported. You're just going to have, I think you're going to easily have 10 adventure cards in your deck, maybe more.
Yeah, you're going to take them much more highly. This is going to be a very good first pick, I will say that.
Ooh.
It's going to be a really, really good first pick, but it's going to be tough to get it to be your commander if you didn't start with it.
I think this next one's kind of off the chain. It's Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter. Red, white, black for a 3/3 haste. Tap, sacrifice an artifact creature. Create 2 treasure tokens. Tap, sacrifice a non-creature artifact. Create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. All you need is 1 treasure, and then you are just off to the races because you go, make 2 creatures for free. Sack one of them if I don't have a treasure. Make 2 treasures. Sack one of them, make 2 1/1s. Forever. And it feeds itself, and there's going to be such easy ways to get this going that this card just seems like an A- to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It just poops out value no matter what.
This card's just really, really good. Like you said, all you need is a treasure, and we already know red, black is doing sacrificing, it's doing treasures. This is just giving you an extra color, and it's going to be the exact same strategy. So I'm super, super happy to have this card. I think it's a solid, probably just an A-, where it's not like broken. Nothing it's doing is like, oh, this is absolutely busted, but it's giving you the extra color.
And this is a competent, good thing.
Exactly. It's giving you an extra color to an archetype that already exists. Like, this isn't like I think you struggle a little bit. Like, I only gave a B+ to the last thing because it's not an archetype that exists.
Red-blue is the adventure.
Yeah, there are cards that support that archetype, and you will have cards for it, but it's not an existing archetype.
I mean, this is like, here's your red-black treasures, and here's your black-white leaves of battlefield, too.
Yeah, it works super well with basically all of that. Next, John.
Let's make it magical. John.
Irenicus. Irenicus?
There's no V.
Irenicus, Shattered One. 2 blue-black for a 3/3 legendary creature. Elf Wizard. This is an Elf Wizard? What
Darn skippy.
A blue-black Elf Wizard? Okay, at the beginning of your end step, target opponent gains control of up to one target creature you control. Put 2+1/+1 counters on it. Tap it. It's goaded for the rest of the game, and in case this creature can't be sacrificed. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, draw a card.
This thing is really good? Question mark?
I don't know if it's really good. What am I supposed to think of this card?
I think it just looks great. Like, you give away something. It doesn't matter. It's goaded. It gets a little bit bigger, and then you just draw cards. Like, you're sacrificing creatures to draw cards and deal damage to your opponents.
What's going on here?
It's supposed to be B+. I don't know. Jerry's will eventually figure out what this thing says.
I got what it says. It's really, really weird. Yeah, I think it is pretty good. What I'm worried about is it's not a real archetype, right?
It doesn't need to be. It's sacrifice a creature is what it says. And we have creatures to sacrifice.
Yeah, so we give away a creature, and then when it attacks, we draw a card.
Which it has to.
It has to attack, and if it doesn't die by some miracle, you can start drawing multiple per go-around, so giving away is less and less relevant. You're going to keep playing lands. Yeah, this card is probably really good. It's probably a B+. I'm not sure. I want to see how it plays. This is going to be one that I don't know. I do think it's really good, and it reads really good. But I could see it playing not well. Like, it's a weird card.
I think it's just great. But we'll see. So B+ for me.
Yep.
Mazzy True Sword Paladin, 1 red, green, white. Now, the first time I read this, I thought it was an A, and about to give you an F. 3/4. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 against trample. Whenever an aura you control is put into graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. And until your next turn, you can cast it. Huh? There's no auras. There's like none. There's literally probably like 5.
F this card.
F this card. It's not even worth being in Naya. It doesn't support anything. Even if you have a couple auras, it supports none of your Naya cards.
F this card.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's really
I don't want to read anything.
Oh, but I really like this one. It's Mirim, Sentinel Worm. But not the. Now I know there's a worm with an O and a worm with
a U,
but this is a worm with a Y.
We still have real estate open for worm with an I also.
We need every worm we can get. This is 3 and green, blue, and red. I don't know why I said all that. 6/6 flying dragon spirit, flying ward 2. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except that token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. This is an A.
How do you spot remove this? This is like one of the best commanders. I mean, if we had the extra combat lady as the best, this is easily the next best, right?
Yeah, this is a really, really good card, and Teamer is dragons. Like, it's all overlapping into a dragon strategy.
They made it harder to kill. This Ward 2.
This card is absolutely incredible.
Nothing to dislike about this. Just play it. Like, the rest of it is like 3 mana, 3/4, auras do stuff. But this is like 6 mana, 6/6 flyer. Even if you have no dragons in your deck, I'm still going to play it as my commander.
Yeah, and it's got green in it's a green 3 color, which means the fixing's even better.
Yeah, rampies too.
Yeah, 100% in for this card.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's one of the best. It's one of the best commanders you can have.
This one also looking pretty good. It's Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes. 2 red, green for a 3 loyalty Minsk Planeswalker. When it enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, you can create Boo, a 1/1 green-red tramply hasty hamster token. This card, the flavor makes no sense, but we'll get to that. +1, put 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 creature that has trample or haste, probably just Boo. -2, sack a creature. When you do, this thing deals damage to any target where X is the creature's power, and if the sacrificed creature was a hamster, draw X cards. So you're going to +4, make Boo a 4/4. So this comes with a 4/4 defender, or just if you just want to jam in for 4, that's great. Even if they kill this, you just end up with a 4/4 off of it. And then if you can make it to your next turn, this turns into draw 4 cards.
So there's like 24 ways in the set that most of them have haste or trample, some kind of give it. This is really, really, really good. This commander loves Swiftfoot Boots.
Yeah, this commander is just, I think, fantastic. It just does its own thing, and it's living in its own world and its own bubble, and it's just great.
Yeah, and you just keep getting Boo back even though you keep sacrificing it.
Why would Minsk sacrifice Boo? Why would Minsk create a second Boo and then kick one of them to the curb? This is clearly like, it looks like they were going for flavor, but then they just didn't. Unless like, Minsk is some kind of abusive hamster owner, but I don't think that's the
Maybe
case.
Boo just never
I think
dies.
there's one Boo.
Boo never dies.
Except for on the card all the time.
Well, they throw him. They sacrifice him by throwing him at him.
Sacrifice implies
It's
death.
a fling. It's like
Implies
band
death.
Yeah, it implies
Every
death.
fling in Magic is lethal. You can't just be thrown.
It implies death. Okay. Is it
Next,
really?
this card's great. B+.
Yeah, it's a B+. This card is really, really good. We should probably say what its grade is.
B+? I did.
yeah.
You didn't.
No, we were about to not. You said next.
I said B+, and you said no grade.
You said
Currently,
next.
we don't know what Joe Terry's grade is.
You said next, and then B+. So,
But you said no grade.
next, we have Merkle, Lord of Bones.
Did I do that?
4. Okay. 4 green, black, white, legendary creature god. It's got the text where if your life is less than your half your starting life total. Guess what? It's indestructible.
Oh.
We know that. It's a 7/5, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may exile. If you do, create a token that is a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment and loses all other card types.
This is really interesting. I think it's good.
I don't know if it's good. Do we have enough ETBs?
That's half of white cards and a quarter of black cards at least.
It's not half of white cards.
Basically, I mean, if you want to say half of the white cards go into the blink, half, or, quarter go into the blink, quarter go into leaves, / overlap, it's like, yeah, I think there is a ton of support for this. Okay. Black-green is like graveyard. White-black is leaves the battlefield. And green-white, has cards.
You specifically need creatures that have ETBs. It's or static.
Or activated abilities or static abilities.
Yeah, so... I don't know. It's tough. This is I'm not saying this is a powerful Magic card.
Mana dorks.
I'm not hating on it, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I'm not sure how well it's going to play. I think I want to give this a B- to start, and say that it might play a lot better than that.
I'll start it at B. I'm probably especially since it's Abs in. I'm just taking this every time, and I'm feeling good about it.
Sure, B. Let's give it a B, and this card might even be better than that.
All right, let's go to Nero Wild Mage. We're almost done with this. 4 blue-red for 2/7. Okay. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it on the bottom of your owner's library. Okay, if you do, reveal cards from the top of your library to get the same type of spell, and you can cast it for... Yeah, so I was squinting at it, and I'm like, what, every spell? But it only triggers once each turn. So the first thing you do, you're going to get random. So if you draw like a crappy, 2-mana 2/2 that's evasive or something, but it's bad in the late game, it's not that. It's just something else. And you also may. So you can play a small creature, then a big creature into it, or a big creature, then a small creature into it.
I'm not sure. Is it only trigger once per turn, or is
it only triggers once per turn, and you may do it whenever.
Yeah,
it just seems like upside.
Yeah,
sometimes you want this, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, I was just wondering. There's a weird ability in Modern Horizons that doesn't trigger once a turn, but it does only work once. You can only use the ability once, but that's not this. This is a weird card. I don't think it's very good.
I think it is okay. I think it's definitely a playable, at least C level, because you just upgrade bad spells in the late game.
C, sure.
You're never downgrading a spell because you can control it.
I'm fine giving it a C, but I think it's really expensive, and I'm not sure how much it's really going to be doing.
It has infinite toughness.
You also don't have a lot of control over what's it gonna do. So it's wild, But just C. But again, these are hard to grade because I don't like. What's really hard to grade about this is random.
It's just like a random deck for a deck that isn't real. It's got 7 toughness, which I think plays some part into this. I like it, though. I think it's a C or maybe a C+.
C.
Just seems like a good card.
C. Next, 9 Fingers Keen.
Yeah, good luck with
1
this.
black, green, blue, legendary creature, human rogue, 4/4 menace. Ward, pay 9 life. When it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 9 cards of your library. Because get it? She has 9 fingers.
This is not what fingers do in regular Magic lore.
They do in this one. You may put a gate from among them onto the battlefield. Then, if there are 9 or more gates, put the rest into your hand. What? Put the rest in your hand. So, okay.
If you control 9 gates after that, you get the rest of the
Otherwise,
cards.
put the rest in the bottom. I think it's enough. You're never going to get enough gates, even if you force it. And even if you do, how are you ever going to reliably keep hitting with this? F this card.
What, you
F
get
this
12
card.
gates and then half your lands are
Say
gates?
our slogan.
F this card.
Yeah, F this card.
That's not very good. Raga Draga. A real name of a real Magic card.
Yep.
Gorgut's Boss. 2 red, green for a 4/4. Each creature you control with a mana ability. Okay, it's like 1 in the set. Gets +2/+2. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, Still not many. Untap it, and whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature is +7/+7 against trample. Okay, there's a real ability. Late game, you are annihilating people with that. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's got flavor text about whatever, the one card in the set that taps for green. But the rest is like, I can cast a 7 mana spell, and it makes something else into like a must-answer threat.
It's only telling a turn. Feels like once.
What are you going to do, not block? You're going to take like 10? This card seems good.
I disagree. How many 7-drops are you playing in your deck?
More. I mean, you don't even need to play 7. It could also just be X spells. Like, you probably got 5 or 6, and this is kind of like a vanilla creature that doesn't do much in the early game. It's kind of just stats, and then 2 or 3 times in the game, it's just like throws 21 damage around.
Yeah.
It also seems like something that isn't necessarily going to die.
There's just too many good commanders. I don't think this is good.
I think this is better than a lot of the other red-green pairs you could show me.
I mean, maybe. I think this is like a fine card. This isn't, but this is like, it's not what I'm chasing. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get into the red-green archetype and actually make the dragons and powers thing work, and we're just not doing that here.
See, I also think you get extra bonus 7-drops in your deck, like the 7-mana 6/3 dragon who has a playable spell on the adventure side. It's like, well, you don't have to worry about the dragon costing 7 as much.
That spell stinks.
I think that spell's fine.
No, I still think that spell stinks.
I mean, if you want to be wrong about this many things in one video,
You're going to be wrong about that dragon, because drilling 1 to each creature your opponent's control is not a good card.
I think it's fine. It's also stapled to another card.
It's to a bad card.
I don't know.
That card's bad.
2 bad cards is sometimes a good card.
It might be, but I think the Sparks is terrible.
Anyway, I think this card's playable. It's not the best green-red commander, but I think it's not the worst either.
I think it's like a C-. I'm not interested in this card.
I'll give it a C+.
It's totally fine.
Joe's like, how could he be so high on that? It's C+. Still C.
I mean, yeah, I thought you were higher on it.
I don't know. You probably should have listened to my grade then.
Raphael, Fiendish Savior is next, and it's 3 black-red for a legendary creature. Devil Noble, 4/4 flying. Other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature was put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, create a 1/1 devil creature token. With this creature deals 1 damage to any target.
They lost me, but then they brought me back in.
Yeah. So it's not really pumping a lot. Right? That's not what we're here for.
That's flavor text.
There are some demons. There are some tieflings hanging around this.
It just says the tokens it makes are going to get +1. And when the devils deal damage, I think you also gain the life, right?
This is the beginning of each end stop. Meaning, if you have a good sack outlet, you're going to be extremely happy. So if you have any of the really good sack outlets that can just like pay 1, sacrifice something, is this going to be very, very good. Get the chain going. Get those 2/2 devils, start flinging them. They'll have lifelink. You'll be gaining a life as you're dealing 1 life over and over and over again. And maybe you have that 1/1 that gets lifelink. Oh, look, it's growing too while you're doing it.
Like the devils and the sack outlet just trigger more devils. You just sack the devil. You don't ever need a new thing. You just keep sacking devils.
And this is the archetype. Like, so I know that there's this misleading middle piece that says other demons and stuff that like might mislead you to think, oh, this is not a good card. No, this is a sacrifice commander, and it's really, really good.
Fantastic. A?
I don't want to say A. I want to say it's an A-. It's a really, really strong card. And
I think even if you don't build around this at all, it'll still trigger a bunch.
Maybe. You might be right about that. It's really strong. This is a 4/4 flyer. It definitely can beat in. So yeah, I think A- is where I'm at with this card.
And I'm at A. Here we go. Tasha, the Witch Queen. I hear she laughs horribly. 3 blue, black for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. It can be your commander. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, create a 3/3 black demon creature token. +1, draw a card. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard and put a page counter on it. -3, you can cast a spell from among cards in exile with page counters for free. So the +1 is draw a card, so that's not that bad. You're up a card, it can stack pretty well, and it wants to combo with the -3, which does protect her, but you can't do it without plussing. It feels like the same exact pattern of Elminster. You have to plus first, untap with it, because it'll be at a reasonable amount of loyalty. This one's only 5, and then boom, you get some creatures and a card.
Yeah, Elminster feels a lot better than this one, and I wasn't super excited about him. I think this is just like a C+. It's not really an archetype. It's not something you're really trying to actively be doing.
There's no other support.
There's no other support for it, but it's totally fine. I don't mind it. What do you think?
I think C plus, as he says, fine.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about with this card.
It can be like the Planeswalkers can be attacked, so they have to be a little bit stronger, and I think Minsk and Boo kind of do that. But then Elminister's good, but this is like not great.
The problem with it is Minsk is the only Minsk and Boo. They're the only ones that protect themselves.
Yep, this one's like draw a card. Oh, okay.
Next, Zev Lore. Turel, whatever. Exile, I don't care what his name is. It's a 4/2 for 1 and a Grixis. Legendary creature, Tiefling Warrior. Haste. Pay 2, tap it. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell that targets a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn for each other opponent, you may choose that player or a permanent they control, copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. Okay, it's a lot to say for actually really good with spot removal.
Triples your spot removal, but how many spot removal spells are you playing? 7 or 8? Okay, well, when you draw them, you'll be really happy. But some of the adventures do double as spot removal.
Well, with this one, you can afford to play more with this, right?
Yeah, because the reason you don't go too high on it is because you can't max out on it, but you also need a certain creature count. Like, you need 20 creatures in your deck.
Yeah, so I think this is a good commander. So I think this is like a solid B-. You're going to build around. It's a build around. So this is actually matters a lot. When you build around this card, I think it's a B. Let's say it's a B.
Hard to not. You need removal.
You do need removal, but you can't just have. You can get away with like 4 or 5 removal spells on the deck. 3. You can get as low as 3 and be okay in a deck. You can't with this. You need. I want to go up to like 8. I want to go up to like 9 and really have a lot of removal in my deck.
Ways to buy them back, maybe.
Yeah,
it's a good card. It's like a build around B, you said, right?
Yeah, it's a build around B, I think, is the key to this. This build around it.
All right, we're in the color list. From home stretch, Bassless Caller, 1 mana artifact, equips for 2. Equip creature gets Death Touch and Lifelink. It's pretty fantastic. It's going to make blocking really hard. It turns all of your creatures into, I can take the initiative really well. And a big creature's going to put you out of range. Life gain is so underrated in these formats. This is a lot of life gain.
I'm curious. Is this an A?
I think it's just an A.
Or is it an A+? Because this card is incredible.
It might be. You know what? It could be an A+, just because it's not like
Lifelink.
It's not the most threatening thing on the field. It's not a must kill. It doesn't even. It's not even.
No, but that's just it. I think it is.
Well, in Commander,
I think in Commander Legends Baldur Gate, I think it is the most threatening thing on the field.
Secretly,
and
it doesn't look like it.
Demands an answer every single time. Yeah, I think I'm just on A+. This is going to be absolutely just amazing. The power level of the set, this is one of the best cards you can get.
Keeps you out of range. You're getting, BS out of the game. Good on offense, good on defense, good with activated abilities, good with some random other stuff, good with fighting. This is really, really, like, people aren't going to attack you if you have a 1/1
How about
defense. You can also attack with some 5/5, not care what happens, and then great. You get the lifelink 5. Wow, and then trade, and then equip to a 1/1, and then have it on defense.
There's trample creatures in this format. They're running around. There's just a million little
initiative.
The initiative is something you want to be chasing down. It's hard to block these creatures. Who wants to block a 1/1 when they have only a 5/5 and there's Death Touch? On top of that, you also just little synergies all over the place. What about those devils? Those devils have Death Touch. When they die, they're going to be pinging things off. There's other ways to ping in this. I can't remember what, but we talked about something earlier. There's a ton. This is just really, really, really good.
Never passing it.
I want to open this card.
This is the card, literally, never pass this card.
If I had to open one card and I could pick any card from the set, I think this is it. It's not, I know that there's all the dragons. I know that there's this too. And, the dragons are going to do more for you and they can be splashier, but this makes every single deck I ever build, and it is going to overperform your expectations every time. The life gain is relevant. The Death Touch is relevant. Get in my deck.
Maybe you could say it's the highest possible pick in the set, and it's an A, but it just plays out fantastic every single time. Maybe it's not quite an A+, where it's but even then, you have lifelink. It's going to bring you back from the brink of death that not a lot of cards can do in this set. So maybe it is just an A+. I mean, it's amazing.
I think with lifelink being as scarce that it is, I think it's an A+. Next, another amazing card, Blade of Selves, 2 mana. Equipped creature has Myriad, equipped for 4. Okay, so this is a really, really good card. I think it's just an A.
If these are your 2 first picks, I'm feeling real good.
You can't. You have to have a foil.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, then this is really, really good. Also, this is just a great reprint. Blade itself is obviously very, very good. Put it in every single one of your decks. Another one of just the highest picks in the set.
You can't pass it. You can't pass this card.
You never will. You will never, ever pass this card. It's absolutely amazing. Let's just give our best creatures Myriad.
Yeah, I mean, it's very obviously good. Let's go to Fraying Line. I don't know what that is. 4-mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, put a rope counter on target creature you control. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may pay 2. If they do, they put a rope counter on a creature they control. Otherwise, exile this thing and each creature without a rope counter on it. Then remove all rope counters from all creatures. Okay, all right. We got a board wipe in the works. If they don't pay 2, you're going to be left with the only creature after a board wipe. They can save their best creature to then put the onus on the next person to say, well, now there's 2 creatures with rope counters. So it kind of just keeps getting passed around. But then after your first go around, you got to pay mana for it. And all of it's sounding like I'm giving my opponents a lot of choices, and it's not that good.
I don't know. It seems pretty good. Now, is it broken or busted? No, it's a colorless board wipe. And yeah, everyone can save their best thing by paying 2 mana, which they probably will. But that comes back to you. You can just choose to exile the rest of it. So I think against token boards, it can be good. I think it's like a B-. I don't think it's like incredible. But again, it's a hard card to pass because it's colorless and it's going to make every single one of your decks, right?
It can just be everybody keeps their best creature. So that's probably a B.
The worst case scenario is
it's like everybody keeps their best creature, but each opponent's down 2 mana.
And each opponent's down 2 mana, and no one can advance their board state into it.
Right. No one's gonna play stuff. So
you're
maybe you know what? And it's colorless, so we'll just give it a B.
Let's give it a B. Yeah, let's move it up from B- to B. And this is
confusing, dumb, but good.
Definitely good. Mighty Servant of Leuk-o, whatever. 3 mana for a 6/6 vehicle. Trample. Ward. Discard a card. Whenever Mighty Servant of Leuk-o becomes crewed for the first time each turn, if it was crewed by exactly 2 creatures, it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw 2 cards until end of turn.
So
you got to crew 4.
So a 1/1 and a 3/3, 2/2 and a 2/2, 4/4 and a 0/2, right?
This guy's good. It's
very undercosted for the beater.
6/6 can just get in, crew it with 2 creatures.
Trample.
Getting 4 power on the board is not that hard. You can overcrew. So you can crew with a 4/4 and a
4/4.
A 4/4 and a 1/1. If you don't have, it's not exactly 4, but 2 creatures get in. It gains this ability. 6/6 is a lot to block, especially in the early game. All right, get in 6 damage. Maybe they can't really, unless they can have a 6/6, which they're not because it's early game. Draw 2 cards. Man, this is like a B+.
Only thing is, in the early game, I don't know if you can do that because everyone's gonna be like, okay, let's get him. He just tapped out all his creatures, drew 2 cards. I'm gonna send the damage right back at him.
Yeah, except you drew 2 cards, and now you can.
Well, you took 7 damage or something. You're open.
So
you're in the early game. I'm saying.
So you sent out 6 damage. You took 6 damage back, and you're still fine because now you just have 2 more cards. You can advance your board state better than anyone now.
That's fine. I think it's worse in the early game than late game when you can force or sneak through something. The trample's nice with instant speed removal. Just really catch people off guard. It's obviously great. I'm gonna give it a B-.
I give it a B+. I think this card is really good. It's super solid. The vehicles are a little weaker, but I think it's just going to play really, really well. 6/6 is just going to always be hard to block.
Big stats. Mirror of Life Trapping. 4-mana artifact. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it was cast, exile it. Then return all other permanent cards exiled with Mirror of Life Trapping to the battlefield under their control. So only one thing can be trapped under this at a time, and it's always the most recent thing that was cast. Kind of annoying. I feel like it's easily played around, and it doesn't even count tokens. So a token will go away. But I guess tokens now can't really enter the battlefield because they just die.
So what this does is it doubles up your ETBs, right? So it ETBs, then leaves. So you get any ETB triggers.
But it doubles theirs.
It also doubles their ETB triggers. So I just don't think this card is very good. It's interesting in a lot of ways, but I don't know.
I would say this is exactly a sideboard card, which probably means it's like a D. Because you don't have sideboards because you're playing one game.
Yeah, let's just give it a D. It's kind of bad. This next one's very good, though. It's Nautiloid Ship, 4 mana for an artifact vehicle, 5/5 flyer. Whenever it has crew 3, and whenever it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a creature card exiled with the ship onto the battlefield under your control.
Okay, Graveyard Hate. Plus stealing from it with a 5/5 flying vehicle that's easier to crew than the 6/6 Trampler?
Yeah, this card's great.
A?
It's an A. Yeah, it's colorless. You're gonna it's
The evasion puts it up.
There's so many of these colorless cards. Like, when are you ever passing this? The answer is never.
I don't know.
This goes in every single deck you've ever made. It's so
Or ever
so
will
good.
make.
Yeah, or ever will make. In this format, yeah. So it's an A. Take it high. It's great.
Time for the last artifact, Vexing Puzzlebox. 3 mana for an artifact. Get ready. Whenever you roll one or more dice, put that many counters on it. Tap, add a mana of any color. Roll a d20 for no reason. It just puts counters on this. Tap, remove 100 charge counters from this. Search your library for an artifact card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle. 7 or 8 rolls of this thing by itself is going to get there, and you can't really get there any other way, so this seems terrible. How many artifacts are you going to have to find?
I don't think it's terrible. It is.
What are you finding?
So, it is a manolith, and we do have enough of, like, the Gate Colossuses.
You got to get, like, Meteor Golem, Gate Colossus.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just, and now I'm not, like, standing off this card like, this is an A. You know, it's like, this is a C.
It's a manolith, so yeah, C+, probably.
It's probably a C+.
Better than manolith.
Maybe a B-, because it is... We're willing to play manoliths. We're going to play some of them because they made a good amount of manoliths in this to do some stuff. And this is the very best one by a wide margin. So if you can get, as long as you can get like one of the big 8-drops, yeah, I'm down to play this.
If you take it early, just prioritize a Meteor Golem or 2.
Meteor Golem, Gate Colossus. Anyway. There's another one that when they want you to pay treasures for it. Get that. Just something big and beefy.
Land time.
This is Baldur's Gate, Legendary
Yes,
Gate.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Tap for a colorless. 2, tap. Add X mana to your mana pool of any one color or X number of gates you control. I think this is a simple F this card.
Obvious F. We can move on to the...
No.
F this card. We can move on to the land cycle. Okay. This is Bountiful Promenade. I'll just read it. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents, which you always do. And taps for green or white. We have all the allied ones in here, and they're pretty great cards. Perfect mana fixing. There's literally like... no downside. It's not like, oh, it enters tap sometimes. Like, not really. It only makes one color early, and then you have to do something. It's like, you don't have to do anything, and these lands are perfect. But what will we give them? Like C pluses?
I think they're pretty. So they're worse than I think the tapped gates that pick a color,
because those are more easily picked and played. You have to be green-white to play Bountiful Promenade.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just not picking Bountiful Promenade very often. I think.
But you want fixing, so maybe it's a C plus.
I don't even think they're like a C.
C?
They're like straight up middle of the road filler. You don't need these. You'll take them, and you're gonna take them. Pick one, pack one, because they're worth money.
Number 1 card that is taken too highly for power.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, we played a lot of that set, and when we were doing that, it was funny because we were like, oh, we just started passing them. Like
at the end when we already have 7 interland thingies, or whatever it's called. I'm gonna just pass it.
Just take the dang land. I don't need it. Next, Reflecting Pool. Now this one's good. Tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land you control produces. Easy. This is
this is also probably like a C. It's not even fixing.
It's
just
not
a dual
fixing,
land.
but it's a lot better at least.
I don't think it's better than Sea of Clouds or whatever. Like it's more draftable, but I don't think it's like better as a duel.
This goes in
every
every
doesn't
single.
Actually fix you.
It goes in every single deck, though.
It can be played in every deck.
It's still a C, right?
It's probably just still a C. I mean, you're gonna take it
grade.
immediately. Let's not pretend like we're ever passing this card.
No, you're not passing.
But the power-wise, it's like, yeah, cool. It's
before reprint it was $20. Yeah, you're not passing that.
And Joe gets every card that's left.
There is no cards left.
That was it. Joe just read every single card. We did it. This set looks great. There's a few bombs and a few uncommons that I'm like a little, we'll see what happens on them. But overall, it looks super fun.
No, I didn't see any bombs I'm like super like hesitant about. The game has to end, and one of the problems with Commander Legends is it didn't end. You often would just the game would drag out to a point of like obscurity to like I'm bored.
I'm talking about bullying someone out of the game on like turn 6. That's what I'm worried about.
I don't.
We know the format's faster, and we know there's ways to just literally just cheese people out of the game.
Yeah, but
there's multiple.
I just don't think it's a problematic to kill.
We'll see.
So this video is the second part of the whole review because we did the commons and uncommons yesterday. So go check that out. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.
You have to watch it.